more than 80,000 participants attending this event from more than 90 countries. Can we use gross national happiness instead of GDP in least developed countries, as it includes ethical values and good governance? The question is in reference to the rampant increase in corruption in some LDC and developing countries like India, Brazil, and Bangladesh.
Yeah, GDP definitely is not the measure of happiness.
All at J.M. Smith that we were supposed to be a good supplier to our customers, be a good customer to our suppliers, be a good employer to our employees, be a good citizen of our community. This conference and in everything that the Jan Center and its associates are doing.
Your knowledge is your wealth. Your intelligence is your wealth. Your personality is your wealth. That is your dollar. I started with $1 in my pocket, school dropout, 8th standard, but I am here in front of you with 1 lakh students, with campuses across the country, 1 million students. And before I started in education, I already created 3,500 entrepreneurs.
Leading from behind is also the best position to develop future leaders. From here, one can see who is most effective at handling obstacles and also influencing the rest of the team for better and worse. While building a compelling case for gender diversity, advancing women leadership in the workplace should consider all these dimensions. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be invited at the International Research Summit AVLOKAN. The literal meaning of AVLOKAN is the art of self-realization.
If you complete this cycle, it becomes a very sustainable model, wherein there is no shortage of resources for conducting further research if you make it applied. And I must reiterate that I do not undermine the importance of fundamental research or purely academic research. This needs to be kept in mind as far as research as an activity is concerned for academic institutions. In such a place, students, particularly you all, I don't have enough words to thank you for what you have put up. I think all attention of the university is keeping you all in mind, and you will be the ultimate beneficiary of whatever we are trying to do.
Thing is to redesign the banking system so that they are devoted to do the work, the whole bank, not just tiny window in the conventional banks.
The bank in Bangalore is doing very well bank for the poor, and is doing very well in
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
It's at 6,000 crore level they have reached, Grameen. It's all your Professor Mohammed Yunus. And they have been effectively doing it for the poor, and poor is becoming better and better. Even if a vegetable vendor is there, he's able to earn 5 lakh rupees a year and pay his fees for his children. So your philosophy is working across the world.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that.
So the next decade is about 7 Ds. Disease is not going away so easily. So I cannot predict what will happen, but yes, I do see it is causing the digital divide between rich and poor. But at the same time, you see, with respect to my previous answer as well, that these technologies are making field level for every.
Skills and network. So skills plus network is success. Only success in networking is not in finding the right person, but in becoming the right person. True value of networking lies in helping others. Now,
regarding introverts and the connect with networking, I just wanted to say that a lot of people who are actually introverts and they feel hesitant regarding networking. They feel like that it is not for me. But I think your talk has definitely motivated them, and I think now they can go ahead with it.
Our weaknesses represent our greatest opportunities for development. Plant many seeds, and not all of them actually grow up to be a fully nurtured plant. Some of them do, right? So you expose them to many things, and you take a step back and you start seeing where they're flourishing and kind of build a theme around it, right? There's a theme around like a pool of talents which are around that theme. Start identifying and observing that theme. And as parent and as role models, just nurture, just provide the nurturing, giving them that opportunities, and they will thrive. They'll just do what best they can do.
For all the people who are yet to start their corporate jobs, who are yet to start their entrepreneurship journey, my dear friend, this is going to happen with you also. Unless and until you understand that the funnel that needs to be inverted. Okay, so in today's dynamic market, in today's global market, it all begins with networking and building the relationship.
So the bad comes with the good, as I pointed out in so many of the examples.
How do we differentiate ethical, moral, and legal behaviors in our course of achieving our life goals? Don't the three behaviors overlap and create confusion in the process of achieving our goals of life?
The severity of the bad, number one, and ease of implementation, the other thing. Now,
I want to share the idea that this is the way we respect other people. We don't do it by holding their hands in an age of COVID. We do it by the Asian way, actually, of acknowledging their presence and their importance and their dignity. So I thank all of you for sharing your thoughts.
What light means to the darkness, that is what Dr. Kotler means to the marketer in me.
Dr. Philip Kotler, to me, is the inventor, creator, and preserver of contemporary marketing.
For me, Dr. Kotler is a university in himself.
A benevolent teacher who has bestowed the world with the invaluable treasure called marketing.
Dr. Philip Kotler means he provides values and solutions to the world of marketing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kotler, your presence is an enlightening learning journey, not just for us, but for the thousands of people watching us live across the globe.
I send my best wishes to Jane and your university and all of India. Thank you.
have more than 80,000 participants attending this event from more than 90 countries. Can we use gross national happiness instead of GDP in least developed countries, as it includes ethical values and good governance? The question is in reference to the rampant increase in corruption in some LDC and developing countries like India, Brazil, and Bangladesh.
Yeah, GDP definitely is not the measure of happiness.
All at J.M. Smith that we were supposed to be a good supplier to our customers, be a good customer to our suppliers, be a good employer to our employees, be a good citizen of our community. This conference and in everything that the Jan Center and its associates are doing.
So your knowledge is your wealth. Your intelligence is your wealth. Your personality is your wealth. That is your dollar. I started with $1 in my pocket, school dropout, 8th standard, but I am here in front of you with 1 lakh students, with campuses across the country, 1 million students. And before I started in education, I already created 3,500 entrepreneurs.
Leading from behind is also the best position to develop future leaders. From here, one can see who is most effective at handling obstacles and also influencing the rest of the team for better and worse. While building a compelling case for gender diversity, advancing women leadership in the workplace should consider all these dimensions. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be invited at the International Research Summit of AVLOKAN. The literal meaning of AVLOKAN is the art of self-realization.
If you complete this cycle, it becomes a very sustainable model wherein there is no shortage of resources for conducting further research if you make it applied. And I must reiterate that I do not undermine the importance of fundamental research or purely academic research. This needs to be kept in mind as far as research as an activity is concerned for academic institutions. Now, being such a place, students, particularly you all, I don't have enough words to thank you for what you have put in. I think all attention of the university is keeping you all in mind, and you will be the ultimate beneficiary of whatever you are trying to do.
Thing is to redesign the banking system so that they are devoted to do the work, the whole bank, not just tiny window in the conventional banks.
The bank in Bangalore is doing very well, bank for the poor, and is doing very well in
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
It's at 6,000 crore level they have reached, Grameen. It's all your Professor Mohammed Yunus. And they have been effectively doing it for the poor, and poor is becoming better and better. Even if a vegetable vendor is there, he's able to earn 5 lakh rupees a year and pay his fees for his children. So your philosophy is working across the world.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that.
So the next decade is about 7 Ds. Disease is not going away so easily. So I cannot predict what will happen, but yes, I do see it is causing the digital divide between rich and poor. But at the same time, you see, with respect to my previous answer as well, that these technologies are making field level for every.
Skills and network. So skills plus network is success. Only success in networking is not in finding the right person, but in becoming the right person. True value of networking lies in helping others. Now,
regarding introverts and the connect with networking, I just wanted to say that a lot of people who are actually introverts and they feel hesitant regarding networking. They feel like that it is not for me. But I think your talk has definitely motivated them, and I think now they can go ahead with it.
Our weaknesses represent our greatest opportunities for development. Plant many seeds, and not all of them actually grow up to be a fully nurtured plant. Some of them do, right? So you expose them to many things, and you take a step back and you start seeing where they're flourishing, and kind of build a theme around it, right? There's a theme around like a pool of talents which are around that theme. Start identifying and observing that theme. And as parent and as role models, just nurture, just provide the nurturing, giving them that opportunities, and they will thrive. They'll just do what best they can do.
For all the people who are yet to start their corporate jobs, who are yet to start their entrepreneurship journey, my dear friend, this is going to happen with you also. Unless and until you understand that the funnel that needs to be inverted. Okay, so in today's dynamic market, in today's global market, it all begins with networking and building the relationship.
So the bad comes with the good, as I pointed out in so many of the examples.
How do we differentiate ethical, moral, and legal behaviors in our course of achieving our life goals? Don't the three behaviors overlap and create confusion in the process of achieving our goals of life?
The severity of the bad, number one, and ease of implementation, the other thing. Now,
I want to share the idea that this is the way we respect other people. We don't do it by holding their hands in an age of COVID. We do it by the Asian way, actually, of acknowledging their presence and their importance and their dignity. So I thank all of you for sharing your thoughts.
What light means to the darkness, that is what Dr. Kotler means to the leader in me.
Dr. Philip Kotler, to me, is the inventor, creator, and preserver of contemporary marketing.
For me, Dr. Kotler is a university in himself.
A benevolent teacher who has bestowed the world with the invaluable treasure called marketing.
Dr. Philip Kotler means he provides values and solutions to the world of marketing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kotler, your presence is an enlightening learning journey, not just for us, but for the thousands of people watching us live across the globe.
I send my best wishes to Jane and your university and all of India. Thank you.
80,000 participants attending this event from more than 90 countries. Can we use gross national happiness instead of GDP in least developed countries, as it includes ethical values and good governance? The question is in reference to the rampant increase in corruption in some LDC and developing countries like India, Brazil, and Bangladesh.
Yeah, GDP definitely is not the measure of happiness.
All at J.M. Smith that we were supposed to be a good supplier to our customers, be a good customer to our suppliers, be a good employer to our employees, be a good citizen of our community. This conference and in everything that the Jan Center and its associates are doing.
So your
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Manu sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for presiding over this evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll begin at 6 p.m.
Sure, Varsha ma'am. So I've been attending the last 2 days, and I must say that I'm very, very impressed by not just the content, the distinguished speakers, but also the manner in which you have put it all together. It comes out so seamlessly, so professional, and I still remember the first day listening to Gary Stewart, who spoke about the Entrepreneurial Thinking University, and for which we require the right kind of ecosystem. So he mentioned Stanford University, and I was really, really humbled listening to that, because Jain University, our university, is envisioned by Dr. Chainraj Roychand, and it is his vision that we see all these aspects of the ecosystem that we are trying to sustain and to develop at Jain University. So congratulations to the entire team.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Means a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, welcome to our 9-day International Entrepreneurship Summit, the most awaited event of the year 2022, AVLOKAN 2.0. We are going to begin sharp at 6 p.m. IST. Thanks for your patient presence. Requesting all participants connected with us in this journey through Facebook Live and Zoom platform to stay tuned We are going to begin in next few minutes. Thank you. Dear participants, let me brief this lovely crowd with our 9 days journey, which began with paper presentations on 3 subsequent days, 10th, 11th, and 12th of this month. On 17th, we had with us our keynote speaker, Gary Stewart, CEO and founder of Founder Tribes, inaugural lecturer of entrepreneurship at Yale University, UK, who spoke on the topic Beyond Social Impact, followed by an enlightening session by Dr. Amrit Lal Bharadwaj. In the same manner, we are continuing the same vibe together forward for today's session as well. And again, we are going to begin in just next a few minutes, a couple of minutes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dinesh sir. I can see sir has joined us.
Yeah.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to all of you.
Sir, with your kind permission, can we begin?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. My namaste to all dear participants, delegates, speakers, and dignitaries. Welcome to our 9-day International Entrepreneurship Summit, AVLOKAN 2.0, on Beyond Sustainability, Trends in Regenerative, Socially Responsible Community Ventures, organized by Vidyanidhi, Student Research and Development Cell, in association with Gyanidhi, Faculty Research Cell of Center for Management Studies, Jain, deemed to be University. Dear participants, we began with the sessions 2 days back with your immense support and presence, with a desire to continue this journey for upcoming days with the same vibrance. Thanks once again to all of you for joining in and making this summit worthwhile. Jain deemed to be University encourages innovation in education and entrepreneurship. It provides the drive, intelligence, and contemporary infrastructure to all its stakeholders and inspires them to be inventive, imaginative, and magnanimous, whether it be education or entrepreneurship. This approach has led to the successful development of numerous entrepreneurial ventures. Now, without any further delay, we will begin with the session with Dr. Manoj John walking us through the entrepreneurship initiatives taken by Jain deemed to be University. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. The team, as I was saying earlier, very impressed the last 2 days listening to distinguished speakers on entrepreneurship. I still remember the first day listening to Gary Stewart talking about the entrepreneurial thinking university. And he mentioned Stanford University, a university that has always inspired a lot of people worldwide, talking about the need for an ecosystem, an entrepreneurship-driven ecosystem that creates and sustains the activity of entrepreneurship, right from ideation to growth of new ventures. So thank you for the opportunity. of putting forward the initiatives taken by Jain University in the arena of entrepreneurship. Uh, as I said earlier, entrepreneurship is in the genes of everybody, the entire family that constitutes JGI and Jain University. And this is driven solely by the vision set forward, put forward by our dear chairman and chancellor, Dr. Chainraj Roychand. It is his vision, a 25-year-old legacy. Over a period of time, it has iterated into multiple things, but the pandemic created a lot of chaos. And within this chaos, it was Chainraj sir's vision that came forward as a kind of a elixir for a lot of ordinary people to come forward, to ideate, and to become resilient and take forward their lives in the middle of this pandemic. So the pandemic, in fact, created opportunities for every Indian to experiment and to explore their heartfelt need to create something that would not just sustain themselves and their families, but also the idea of entrepreneurship in India. And on that note, let me take this session forward. So what I'm here to elaborate on for everyone who is attending this summit, this entrepreneurship summit, is on behalf of Jain University and the Chainraj Roychand Center for Entrepreneurship. CRC Kalparich, the accelerator ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs from early ideation stage all the way to global operations. The program is unique in that we are with you for the long haul, 24 weeks on average, and we care about your long-term success. Let me put forward the idea that I wish to share with you today. Let's co-create the future together. And this is driven by this whole idea of the pandemic that continues to wreak havoc all around. But as I said, resilience and tenacity and perseverance has created unbounded opportunities. The common man is now an entrepreneur here in India. And this entrepreneurship is driven by this idea of frugal entrepreneurship, what we know in Hindi as Jugaad. Okay, Jugaad has been a savior for a lot of Indians living their lives here in India in the middle of a pandemic. And therefore, the idea that impossible is nothing, that I am possible in the word impossible, becomes true here for each and every one of us, including the millennials who are listening to us today, who are attending this entrepreneurship summit. This entrepreneurial university that we call Jain University, that we are a family member of, is made possible through the vibrant ecosystem evolving around this 25-year-old vision of our chairman and chancellor, Dr. Chainraj Roychand. Okay. On that note, let me tell you about this vision that he has for us. Chairman's vision encapsulates enhancing the quality of life for all stakeholders, the faculty, the students, the staff, and the university as a whole, enhancing the quality of life for all stakeholders. In doing that, these are the pathways that he has defined for all of us. The pathway includes an education continuity plan, which creates psychic wealth, societal wealth, serves every stakeholder's aspiration. Second, the sanctity of the business principle through co-creation. So let's co-create the future together essentially encapsulates Chairman Sir's vision of ethical conduct and behavior, stakeholder centricity, inclusiveness and respect, and self-actualization. It is in this that we find Chainraji Sir's true words, Atmanirbharta, Saksham, and Savriti. Let me take up Atmanirbharta, self-reliance. Saksham is self-sufficiency, and Savriti is economic independence. This is what drives the entrepreneurship ecosystem here at Jain University. We have a unique opportunity today in the middle of this pandemic, fulfilling the aspirations of millennials, each one of you. You're looking at the creative curve, novel and valuable innovation that is serving the students of the millennial generation. The new normal is about staying relevant. The new normal is about focusing on outcomes. The new normal is about embracing technology and digitization and becoming innovative. This is what the millennials and their mindset tell us today. I want to learn, but I want to learn quickly. I want to explore modular, on-the-go, distributed, experiential, gamified, and crowdsourced resources. This is how I want to live my life in the world today. And therefore, there is an urgent need to collaborate between industry and academia. And that is how we go about co-creating the future. Based on this, I have the entrepreneurial ecosystem driven by 3 initiatives envisioned by Chairman Sir. The first is Student Nirbhar, directed, led by our director, Dinesh Sir. CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Program, that is a step ahead of the incubator systems that we see and that we are familiar with all over. Led by this team at the university, which includes me. Shri Kutum Marketplace Aggregator is the third initiative. This is a marketplace aggregator platform that allows and encourages students, faculty, staff, every stakeholder of the university to pitch and create business for themselves, to learn from the market. So let me take you quickly through all these 3 initiatives that the university today is proud to have. All of these initiatives are based on what the world is experimenting with, what the world is exploring. There is this site, there is this startup called quirky.com. And quirky.com is all about creating products invented by real people like us. If you go to that site, you can quickly register if you have a brilliant idea, an idea that you think can be converted into a realistic proposition, a realistic venture. Go to quirky.com and register your idea. Submit an idea. If you see my screen today, I have taken a screenshot of the first page. It says submit an idea. Okay. And what ideas? Look at the ideas that they have created. You go to the website and create that. The second is Indian, purely Indian, born out of the earthquake that struck Gujarat long time ago. Mansukh Bhai Prajapati, a potter by trade, was looking at survival, not just for himself, but for his family. And he came up with the idea of an earthen fridge. We call it Mitti Cool today. It is famous worldwide. It is popular worldwide. He sold this earthen fridge for the first time for 2,000 rupees here in India. Today, it is a unique product that, that trademarks the campaign for Startup India and Make in India. Mitti Cool by Mansukh Bhai Prajapati. I am inspired by this man's tenacity, perseverance, and resilience to be able to come up with a solution for every Indian today. Mitti Cool products and services. The third example that drives these initiatives at Jain University is Daily Dump. This is again local, Bangalore based, led by a woman who believes in nurturing the environment through composting, natural composting. And this by itself is a resilient startup all through the pandemic. Okay. Daily.
John, sir,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt in between, sir.
Yes, yes.
So here I take a moment to acknowledge the presence of our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Raj Singh, who is always there to impart his overwhelming support, paving a strong and clear pathway to follow, and inspiring us with his mentorship and guidance. Thanks for presiding over this evening, sir. Welcome to the event.
Thank you, Dr. Mono. It's a pleasure listening to you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Raj sir. Thank you. Wonderful to have you with us today. So, as I was saying, Chairman Sir's vision encapsulates these three initiatives, and these three initiatives are born out of the resilience and tenacity and the uniqueness and the innovation of these ideas that I spoke about: Quirky.com, Daily Dump, and Mitti Cool. Okay, and similarly, you today have Bhavish Agarwal and Ola Electric. That is also making its presence felt. So what we said was that entrepreneurship starts with an idea within. But to be driven by that idea, it is important to recognize an opportunity. And it is this opportunity that creates value for the products or the service or the idea that we wish to nurture and develop. Okay. And it is based on this that we need to get off our seat and do something about this. We have brilliant ideas, but we don't take that step forward because something holds us back. And that is what we try to remove by creating the ecosystem. These initiatives are opportunities for you to get off your lethargy and start doing something about this idea that you have, this brilliant idea that you have in your head. Okay. So it is in this context that I remind you of this old scooter. My father had one. It was the Chetak scooter of the past. And we began our journey all through. I remember my growing up years trying to learn driving using the scooter. It has broken down, it has fallen multiple times, but I learned driving a two-wheeler on this Bajaj Chetak scooter. But look at what we have today. What we have is the Ola Electric. Make in India. The dream of every Indian to be able to look after the environment, to nurture a cleaner environment using two-wheelers. Okay. And this comes out of the brains of ordinary Indians like you and me. Okay. So this is a collage that I drew up for another session that I was having, explaining to you how important it is for us to nurture this idea in an ecosystem. That ecosystem is available here, right here at Jain University. Okay. So in this context, having given you the context, I come to the first initiative, which is Student Nirbhar. Give me a moment and look at the title. The venture, the ecosystem venture at Jain University is titled as Student Nirbhar, because for all of us, the focus is you, the millennials who are listening to us, who are guided by us, who are exploring the world beyond, who have aspirations, who have dreams. And now you have a university that is willing to listen to you. listen to your ideas, listen to your aspiration, and to handhold you to make it all possible through Student Nirbhar. What is it essentially all about? Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. Student Nirbhar is an initiative of JTI meant to encourage not just our own students here, but also alumni to come forward and pitch their products and services on a platform, make their sales, take away the profit, and nurture their entrepreneurial ambitions on a platform. We bring you the supplier of products and services, as well as the buyers of products and services together on this platform called Student Nirbhar. Okay. What are the products? The thought process is that we need to provide an entrepreneurial experience to our students. As I said, the millennials think differently. The millennials act differently. They have brilliant ideas. They want to interact with the customer population out there. And that is what drives this. The learning and the learning that is provided through the experience of entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial activity really happens through Student Nirbhar. There are multiple products and services. I'm going to take you through this particular video now that will explain to you what Student Nirbhar is in the practice of entrepreneurship. Let me just stop screen sharing and put on that video. I have another video that I need to share with you. This is the public domain teaser that we have taken out. And here goes.
So are you sharing any video? It's not visible yet. I think you need to share the another screen where video is there.
Okay, just one moment. Yeah.
Sure. Sir.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see. Just play the video, we'll be able to.
Yeah.
Sir, I think it's not coming.
Can you see my screen?
No. It's black.
Okay, just one moment.
Either you can send it to me, I can play it for you.
Yeah. No. What I'll do is I'll just play it separately.
Sure.
There seems to be.
No worries.
Just one moment. I'm just setting it up.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll just put that screen up. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Just playing it now.
Yeah, it is there.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Right. So sorry for the small mess up there, but I hope you have a feel of what Student Nirbhar is all about. Let me just conclude on that note and by giving you further impressions on how the student can get into the business of Student Nirbhar. So that includes a multi-stage process where you have the initial registration by the students with your official ID card and also a profile of his or her business that you would like to onboard onto the Student Nirbhar platform. Based on the availability of the stock, the formalities from a legal perspective, the terms and conditions, and the acceptance of those terms and conditions, you will have free listing on the platform of your product, of your business, of your service. And the process begins. So that's how a student can easily get on board the Student Nirbhar platform. Okay. From a customer's perspective, the customer has a choice. The customer will be given a listing of products available on the platform. Based on stock availability, the customer can place an order online. The order is processed, the payment is made online through a payment gateway, and the packaging begins. The order is shipped and is delivered on time to the customer. So right from the student onboarding his or her business, his or her product onto the platform, to the customer receiving the order that he or she has placed, is happening on this very dynamic, very practical platform called Student Nirbhar, an initiative of Jain University under the stewardship of Dr. Dinesh Nilkant, our director. So that's what Student Nirbhar is all about. There are multiple steps, underway to ensure that the launch goes off without a hitch. This will happen very soon, but I'm going to circulate a Google form immediately after the session for each one of you to express your interest in joining this particular platform or exploring these 3 initiatives together at Jain University as a student or as a faculty. And that is something
Yes,
that
sir.
I will do later. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I am glad to tell our participants that Dr. Elena Cohen and Dr. Jera has joined us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monu John, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on university entrepreneurship initiatives.
I've not finished.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Very quickly. So thank you for, this is our first initiative, Student Nirbhar. We now get on to the second initiative, which is the Kalpavriksha Experience Academy and the CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Program that I would like to speak to you about. This is based on this question that I would like to ask each one of you. Are you ready to take your idea to the next level? Will you join the excitement of a community of hardworking, dedicated entrepreneurs? This program, this accelerator program, is initiated and launched to foster the spirit and practice of entrepreneurship and business competencies. Okay. Now, the CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Program takes this funnel route where you enter the funnel with an idea at the left-hand side of your screen. At the ideation stage, you have an idea, you have an inspiration, you have an innovative product or a service that you would like to make a reality out of. You enter this Kalpavriksha Accelerator funnel at the ideation stage, get on to incubation, where we try and match or align the problem with the solution through your product or your service or your idea. And then finally accelerate the growth or the development of this idea into a practical product or a service or an opportunity for you to launch a new venture. Okay. And then we will also handhold you up to a certain extent. We're looking at a 24-week program that includes growing or helping you grow your business to a stage where you can independently look after the venture. Okay. So ideation, incubation, acceleration, growth are the 4 stages in the Kalpavriksha Accelerator ecosystem funnel that you go through. And you apply as a regular person. You apply if you have an idea that you wish to make a reality out of. You apply through a comprehensive application form that will be rolled out in a short while from now. And you go through all these stages: the ideation, the bootstart stage, the launch stage, the growth stage, and of course, the scale up stage. So 4 stages of the accelerator trajectory is what you travel and you take your journey through over 24 weeks. 24 weeks starting in March 2022 right up to September 2022. You will be part of the Kalpavriksha Project Enterprise Accelerator ecosystem trajectory. And this is why we have this accelerator program coming on in the month of March. We, as an initiative of Jain University and JGI, we have the means, we have the ideas. We need to work with our means so as to be able to co-create the future that we want for ourselves. A future that we cannot predict. We can co-create that future using the means that we have at our disposal. Today, you have an opportunity to be part of the Kalpavriksha Accelerator program. The CRC Kalpavriksha Core program starts with a proven structured process. It's highly structured and sequential, aggressive growth sprints over a weekly period. Every week you will have multiple programs, experiential programs led by mentors, led by investors. Okay, 14 feedback sessions, application deadlines are already mentioned there, but look at what is the value proposition of the Kalpavriksha Core program. Key performance indicators, milestone-driven program, weekly one-to-one sessions with quality in-house resources, boot camps, regular mentorship, access to investors, investment and value partners in terms of seed fund, introduction to investors, angels and VCs, partner benefits, access to a network, startup founders, entrepreneurs, mentors, opportunity to pilot your own idea, your own project with other startups that are successfully out there in the market. Okay. There's a weekly schedule and a session plan, 24 weeks, ideation, incubation, acceleration, scale-up program. Okay. Right. Now, this is what we call as Kalpavriksha Accelerator program, and you graduate. This is the highlight of this program. You graduate with a company, a venture, a startup in your hand. So you prepare for graduation. You complete the CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator program, and the program is of course challenging. Expectations are demanding, but in the final session, you celebrate the fact that you are graduating with your own company, your first venture in your hand. Okay, so that's about your Kalpavriksha Accelerator ecosystem. Your journey includes induction, orientation, legal process, team building, mentor madness, boot camps, roadmap, and OKR sessions. OKR sessions stands for objectives and key results. Objectives and key results. Performance reviews, sessions, workshops and roundtables, pitching coaching, pitch coaching, and so on. This is what CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Ecosystem program is all about, again envisioned by our chairman, Dr. Chainraj Roychand. I welcome you to this journey, and I request you to please apply for these programs. So Student Nirbhar, Kalpavriksha Accelerator program, and the third initiative is Shri Kutumb. Shri Kutumb is again envisioned by Chairman Sir, enhancing the quality of life for all its stakeholders, which includes the students, the faculty at JGI and Jain University. Shri Kutumb is powered again by Kalpavriksha. It includes multi-stage process with business development skills. So you'll be trained under the Kalpavriksha program to take up products that can be sold. So your selling techniques, business venturing techniques, all of these is taken care of. And the first stage includes business development skills. How do you create an impact with your product and services? How do you accelerate? So you go through the accelerator funnel there. You become an influencer and an enabler in the process of setting up your own venture. You've got learning and developmental opportunities in this program. Investor, mentor, network, connect. Okay, and as well as enhancing the value of your education here at Jain University. All of this happens through the Shri Kutumb marketplace aggregator platform, where you have an opportunity to become a product and a business development aggregator. Okay, this is an aggregator that serves as an engine that energizes, powers, and drives the Kalpavriksha Accelerator program. You have exposure to supply chains and manufacturing excellence. You have committed partnerships and lifelong relationships to build through this aggregator platform. These are the pathways to student empowerment. You earn while you learn, okay, by through distributed proceeds and beneficiaries, and you secure the future for all stakeholders through the Sri Kutum aggregator platform. Finally, these are some of the kits that will be made available to you. Okay, a presentation box for the Ayurveda and wellness range. Okay, some of the products within that kit: hair spa, hair herbal conditioners, herbal shampoo, hair oil, completely Indian. Okay, body care products, face wash, body wash and soap, charcoal face wash, face cream, skin toner. And then you have another kit, which is essentially a breakfast kit. Okay, you get a kit that includes oats, upma, ready to eat food products, quinoa, khichdi, healthy products, millet rava idli mix, ready to eat food products. Now, all of these are meant to give you the experience of taking your product, your service to the consumer out there, establishing the connect between consumer needs and your product. Okay, all of these happens through the Kalpavriksha accelerator funnel and Sri Kutum marketplace aggregator. What you see on your screen is my last thought for you to take home, which is the mentoring initiative that we have already started with one of our students, alumni startup called Tuk Tuk Autos. Aditya Singh, one of our students of CMS Business School, who passed out in 2021, set up this taxi or auto aggregator service in Odisha, and he's going great guns. Okay, we are mentoring him to scale up this service, not just in Odisha, but also to other states in India. So Aditya, I don't know, he was busy, but you will get an opportunity to meet him also through these initiatives that we have. Okay, these are some of the problems that he's solving. Now, last and foremost, I will put up this link in the chat box, requesting all those who have listened to me. I hope I have been able to expand and give you an idea of the ecosystem that provides opportunities for each one of us. Student Nirbhar, CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Program, and third, Sri Kutum Marketplace Aggregator Platform. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I have made this meaningful for you. Day 3 of the Entrepreneurship Summit that we are having. I'll put up this link. Everybody is invited to fill up the short expression of interest form that I have created that will let us know how to connect with you, how to contact you to take this forward, and your involvement in Student Nirbhar, CRC Kalpavriksha Accelerator Program, and Sri Kutum, the Marketplace Aggregator Platform. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll put up this link in the chat box.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. John, for briefing us with an extensive overview of the remarkable entrepreneurial initiatives taken by Jain Deemed to be University. And our special thanks goes to our Chancellor, Dr. Chenraj Roy Chand, and our Director, Dr. Dinesh Neelkant, who have been instrumental in bringing to us this session, giving us an opportunity to have an idea of this concept, which has helped in numerous entrepreneurs till date. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dear participants, we have with us joined in our speaker of the previous day, Professor Amrit Lal sir as well, along with Neelam Bharadwaj ma'am. Welcome to the event, sir. And ma'am, thank you so much for presiding over this evening. Now, as we are thrilled with this wonderful session by Dr. John, having a detailed elaboration on the entrepreneurial initiatives taken by Jane Dimtubi University, with the same pace of excitement, let's move on to our next session. And on this note, I would like to invite our Alumni Association President, Ms. Sayeda Shifa, presenting to you our legendary speaker of the session. Over to Ms. Shifa.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva. And here I take this opportunity to introduce a renowned speaker for the session, Dr. Jai Rao. Dr. Rao is a professor at Babson College, USA. He teaches extensively in the Babson Executive Education programs. His executive teaching and consulting is in the areas of innovation, implementation of innovation initiatives within firms, corporative entrepreneurship, and customer experience innovation. His research has appeared in the Sloan Management Review, Journal of Innovative Management, the European Business Review, the European Financial Review, Cornell Hotel and Restaurant Administration Quarterlies, and others. He is the author of the book, The Discipline and Culture of Innovation. He has written several business cases on a range of topics: innovation strategy, innovation culture, leading innovation, customer service, and strategy execution. Through Babson Executive Education, he has taught for BBVA, AVLOKAN Americas, Novartis, Fresenius Medical Care, Pernod Ricard USA, Covidien, BAE Systems, USA Navy, SABIC, Citizens Bank, Merck, Mascop Corporation, Scottish Enterprise, Innovation Norway, North Atlantic Capital, EMC, GlaxoSmithKline, and others. He has taught executives and consulted for Reed Elsevier, PwC Spain, Bayer Material Science Germany, Iberdrola Spain, Massachusetts General Hospital Boston, Prime Business School Columbia, Banco Occidente Colombia, Quagra Chile, Inter-American Development Bank Benchmark Assisted Living Boston, EMD Sereno, Forum Colombia, FitLix Pentio Spain, BFA Council France, Novartis, Lojac, Fidelity Investments, Marel Lunch, Boston Scientific Corporation, and others. He was a member of the Innovation Advisory Board at Ocean Spray USA from 2010 to 2015. He currently sits on the Innovation Advisory Board of Bancolombia and on the Flavor Advisory Board of Fernmint, Switzerland. He also has a family business background and sits on the board of Himanshu, Bangalore, India. And it gives us immense pleasure to welcome you, sir, as our esteemed speaker for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Saida. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Varsha, for inviting me. Firstly, it's a great pleasure and an honor to be with Jane School. I was hoping to be there in person. I was supposed to be in Bangalore today, but unfortunately, because of Omicron, I kind of canceled my trip in the last moment. So I would love to have been there and talk to you from Bangalore, and hopefully one of these days. Firstly, Dr. Roychand, Chancellor Roychand, thank you for the invitation. Dr. Singh, and also Dr. Nilkant. It's really an honor to be here with you today. And let me share my slides and see. Just
Sorry
give
to
me a second.
yes, sir, you can share your screen, of course. I'll just take a minute. I also wanted to say hi to Dr. Ellen, who is here with us.
So,
yeah, and our Vice Chancellor, sir, is also there. And we also have our director here and Professor Amrit Lal Bharadwaj from Cardiff University here.
Thank you, professors, for joining this evening. It's such a pleasure to see you there. Thank you.
for me, it's a wonderful pleasure to be with Alan, because Alan hired me to come to Babson.
Yeah.
And
Dr. Alan, you can unmute yourself actually. Dr. Alan, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, because I think, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
There you
so, so I was just telling Alan hired me 27 years ago. So it's wonderful to be back together again, Alan. Hope.
You didn't know I was so farsighted, huh?
Happy New Year to everyone. Can you see my slides?
Sure, sir. Sure, so you can go ahead, sir. Yeah.
All right. So I will be constantly looking at my chat So please type in whatever you need and kind of just comment, questions. I want this to be dynamic, yeah? And you may be wondering why the strange title. It'll become obvious in a few moments, all right? Please don't read the small print, all right? The small print is from myself. After you get to be more than 50 years old, I forget at times where I'm going. So the small print is from myself and not for you. Yeah, I will talk and I will explain things if they're important. Yeah. For those of you who may not know Babson, by any chance, I'm not sure how many of you may know Babson or not, but we are a very small school, but we are a 100-year-old school. And we are in Boston, but we are in the shadows of these two big gorillas in our backyard called Harvard and MIT. But we are a hidden gem because many of our students go start companies. Nearly 20% of our students start companies when they graduate. After 5 years, that number goes up to 30-35%. And about 40% of our students are also coming from family businesses because many of the grandparents or parents send them to Babson saying, hey, you're going to be the next CEO, next president of our family business, go learn how to think like a CEO. So we, of course, pay many magazines to kind of give us rankings. I'm joking. We don't pay magazines, okay? You'll get used to my stupid humor. I apologize to the chancellor and all the esteemed people in this group. But you will see that we are ranked for 27 years by US News and World Report as #1 in the MBA program, as well as the undergraduate program for entrepreneurship, okay? And it was wonderful to listen to Dr. John talk about all the initiatives that you're having in Jane. So that's fantastic. That's for Alan and me, this is music to our ears because Alan initiated many of such programs more than 20 years ago. And I have been the beneficiary of some of those initiatives that Alan started. As I kind of roughly mentioned, all our students take entrepreneurship courses. When you're 18 years old, starting at Babson, on day one, you're put in a team, you're given $3,000 and you have to start a company. That's Babson. It's very, very kind of practitioner oriented, okay? So the agenda, very quickly, I'm going to talk about gorillas, chimps, monkeys. What is the difference between a startup and a scale-up? What are the problems with small firms? And really understand why scale-ups are important and who creates scale-ups. And then what's the role of what we call as anchor firms in society? Yeah. So I actually, Saida was very generous. She listed out all the companies that I worked with. Most of them are gorillas, but also I do work a lot with monkeys as well. Okay. But you know who the gorillas are. I worked with companies like Infosys. I worked with companies like Kotak Mahindra, the big Indian gorillas as well. Yeah. If you look at the deodorant market in 2012 in India, the big gorillas, Unilever, McEnroe, Reckitt Benckiser, Beiersdorf, these were the gorillas, okay, in 2012. But then came a monkey. And of course, everybody knows Fog here. I'm positive everybody knows Fog, right? And so I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking there. But Fog went from 0 to #1 in less than 5 years, okay? Today in India, Fog is the gorilla, okay? Not the other gorillas, okay? Of course, you all know Zerodha, right? Zerodha, again, a monkey, went from 0 to nothing to #1 in less than 5 years. Okay, how do monkeys do this? Yeah. So, give an example of a monkey in the United States. Chobani was the #1 company within 5 years, but only in one category called Greek yogurt. Danone is a 100-year-old gorilla. General Mills is a 150-year-old gorilla. But in one product, Greek yogurt, Chobani became #1 in the US. Chobani was started, sorry, I don't know what happened here. Give me a second. Are you still seeing my screen, Chobani screen or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then Chobani went from 0 to number 2 globally in 12 years. So how can monkeys do this? Chobani was started by an immigrant, a Turkish immigrant to the United States. He read an advertisement that the gorilla Kraft was selling this plant for $800,000. So he called a lawyer and said, $800,000, that's less than buying a house in Boston. There must be a typing mistake. So the lawyer called the gorilla Kraft and said, really? Is there a zero missing there? They said, no, it's $800,000. So he started the company with $50,000 and took a small business loan and started Chobani. 3 years later, the gorilla Kraft, they had something called a OSM. You know what an OSM is? No? I apologize to all the professors here and chancellors. It's called oh shit moment. Is that clear? So that's what the gorillas like, wow, what happened here? Okay. So, but the gorilla came back into the business 3 years later because the monkey had shown them that there's a market. So welcome to the game of gorillas, chimps, and monkeys. Okay. So every game in the world, and today if you go to Australia, Chobani is the gorilla. They have 9 categories, 30 products. So how do monkeys go from monkey to a chimpanzee to a gorilla? Every game, wherever you are, in whatever country, unless you're in North Korea or Cuba, all right? It's between gorillas, chimps, and monkeys. It's gorillas, chimps, and monkeys. Gorillas, chimps, and monkeys. Okay. In every open market, it's gorillas, chimps, and monkeys. Right? So how do you go from startups to scale up? Yeah. I want to give you some numbers just to roughly understand what is the game. We need to understand what is the game. Okay. There are about 41,000 publicly traded companies globally. All right. Everybody talks about publicly traded company. Infosys, Wipro, Kotak, all these guys, right? But you need to remember, there are 200 million registered companies globally, which means the publicly traded companies are only 0.02%. So most, I know Jane is different, but most professors globally only talk about large gorillas, which are 0.02% of the economy, of the entire world. Okay. The US has 4,000 publicly traded companies, and there are nearly 6 million registered businesses in the United States, which means it's 0.07%. So if you want to learn about a tiny part of the world, go to Harvard, Wharton. Is that clear? They will teach you about nothing. We here think at Babson, we think about the 99% of the world. Okay. So we look at how companies are born. If you look at nearly 30 years, I've been tracking this data for 30 years, the number of monkeys that are born in the US. And roughly it's been similar. But in the last 5-6 years, the number of monkeys being born has gone up to around $800,000. But last year was an anomaly. It jumped up almost 100% in the pandemic. Okay. Never seen. We have never seen this data in 30 years. So the number of new business monkeys being born has just exploded. Okay. So please remember this number 800,000. It's very important. All right. At the same time, people love venture capital, angel funding, venture money, we are obsessed with it. Okay. But we need to understand the reality. Again, when monkeys exploded, venture funding exploded globally. For years, it was growing very slowly, but then in 1 year, it just shot up. So please be very careful. It may be a trend, may not be a trend. Is everyone with me? Okay. So venture funding doubled from almost 350 billion to 650 billion in 1 year. Okay. So we need to remember this number 600 billion, or The other, for me, a better number to remember is $300 billion. Okay. So if you really understand the number of companies, number of monkeys, if you look at a 20-year period, a 15-year period, okay, the number of monkeys that get funded in the United States by venture funding is around 6,000. Is that clear? Which means, let's look at the numbers. The total global venture capital money is 600 billion, but the global GDP is 80 trillion, which means it's 0.75% of the world. Less than 1%. Is everyone with me? Okay.
Yes,
You're
sir.
all business students, so you need to understand what numbers mean and what game we are playing. Do we go to Las Vegas or do you go to Silicon Valley? Okay, because the odds are the same of winning. Is that clear? Okay, so the average number of firms receiving venture capital funding in between 2015 and 2020 is around 6,000. Out of 6 million companies that are born are existing in the US. That is 0.75%, again, less than 1%. So most of us, when we talk about venture capital, we are gambling. Is that all right? That's why I said go to Las Vegas or go to Silicon Valley. The odds are the same. But the media, the academics, the consultants, we obsess with Wall Street, Dalal Street, and venture funding. Is that all right? That's all we obsess, and that's all we teach. Not Babson, not Jane, okay? Everybody else. So let's come back to reality. Let's get down to reality. Let's understand the challenges for everybody else, the 99% of the world. What are our challenges when it comes to entrepreneurship? Is the challenge clear? Okay. Yeah, if you are a part of that 1%, please call me. I'll come and become your driver or chef or chauffeur. Is that all right? Okay. Don't read this. Don't read this picture. I have been collecting, the US collects this data. It collects how many monkeys are born, what is the size of the monkey, how much the monkeys pay, how much do the chimpanzees pay, how much do the gorillas pay, how many people they employ. They have been collecting this data for 25 years. And they give this data for free on the internet. So let me show you what this picture means. This data is converted to a picture. This is the number of employees in the company. 1 to 4 employees, 5 to 9 employees, 10 to 19 employees, 20 to 100 employees, 100 to 500 employees, more than 500 employees. Out of 6 million companies in the US, 61% of them have less than 4 employees. Okay. 0.34% of 6 million companies, there's only 20,000 companies have more than 500 employees. Remember, I told you I come from a family business with 200 employees. We're already in that 1%. Even though it's a small business in India, we're already in that 1%. Okay. But then there's a problem. The number of people employed by these large gorillas is about 53%. And the number of amount we take home, the money we take home, 60% comes from the gorillas. So if you take the top 11% of the companies, they contribute to 84% of the employment in the country, 87% of the money we take home. So who creates the GDP? Who runs the GDP? Who grows the GDP? Are not monkeys, are not startups. Small business associations will come and brainwash you and tell you garbage because they're not a not-for-profit. Actually, they're paid for by the Small Business Medium Association. Okay. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that there is a scarcity of firms in the United States for more than 20 employees. I'm not talking 200, I'm talking of 20. Okay. Which means the US has a scale-up problem, not a startup problem. I repeat, the US has a scale-up problem and not a startup problem. Any ass can start a company, period. I repeat, Any ass can start a company, but the biggest challenge is scale up. Okay. So stop obsessing with startups. Let's really focus on scale ups. If you look at the world, most of the world doesn't scale up. Very few companies, very few countries, US, Japan, Germany, UK, where gorillas scale up. Don't read this picture, okay? If you look at the UK statistics, 2019, 96% of all the companies have less than 10 employees. I repeat, 96%. UK also has 6 million companies roughly. 96% of them less than 10 employees. And they pay very little. Spain, same problem. 90% of them have less than 10 employees. Don't read these numbers. This is Brazil, a developing country. 99% of all companies have less than 50 employees. Okay, this is data from OECD. So it's not just US, the world has a scale-up problem. Is that clear? Not just developed economies, but the world. And small firms have lots of problems. What are all the problems of the small firms? Firstly, productivity is crap. They don't use new technologies. They don't use hardware. They don't use software. They just are not very productive. Most of them employ their own families and they don't pay them well. Small firms, they invest less in worker improvement, worker skills. Innovation is not very good coming out of these small companies. Also, during downturns, they are the ones that take the biggest hit. So there is a lot of data to show that the larger firms are able to weather the economic cycles much better than the smaller companies. And it is much better to innovate from inside of a large company. There are movies about, yes, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, but they are data points, not the trend. I want to make sure we understand this. Okay. So one is, if you want to improve the GDP, if you want to improve the economy, if you want to contribute in a much more impactful manner to employment and to the take-home pay, it's the gorillas. So who creates scale-ups? What's the profile of a scale-up entrepreneur? We all understand the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerbergs, and the Elon Musks, and so forth, right? They all drop out of college and then go to Silicon Valley, become billionaires. Please be very careful with that story. Again, it's a story that is very convenient for the media. It's very convenient for academics. It's very convenient for the executives and for, consultants. Is that all right? So that is where we have to be down to earth and say, who are the people who know how to create scale-ups? And this is data from the US. Don't read this again. This is high growth entrepreneurs. Who are the founders of these companies? They tend to be well educated. So please don't drop out. Is that clear? Please stay in Jane. Okay. Finish your education. They do very well in high school, but they're not the brightest in college. They're not the ones who get A grades. At Babson, we have a saying, the B grade students work for the C grade students and the A grade students become academics like me. Is that clear? Okay. So it's usually the C grade students who go and start companies and scale up, right? So grades are not everything. It's about being street smart. Okay. Yeah. Pass your courses. Don't worry. Okay. Right. Evaluation and rank, quizzes, exams, highly overrated. The more we actually grade you, the less creative you become. In fact, we tell our faculty, our students are amazingly good. They're amazingly creative. Don't kill their enthusiasm by giving them more exams. Okay. Right. They don't come from great wealth. Fantastic data. Because each one of us can become a scale-up entrepreneur. Okay. This is powerful. We are better educated than parents, so stay in school, build a network. And most of them don't come from family business. Again, good news. For countries like India, this is fantastic news because most of the world, the wealth is all sitting in family businesses. Okay. So you can do it. Okay. So you don't have to come from wealth. You don't have to come from family business. Okay. But there's a problem. Scale-up entrepreneurs are not young. They're not the 18-year-olds. It's not the 20-year-olds. The average age of a scale-up entrepreneur is 40. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. This is not good news for you. Okay. And what else? They have 15 years. So this data is also very clear. The likelihood of success improves tremendously if you are working in an industry for 15 years, 10 to 15 years in a large gorilla. Okay. So I tell all my undergraduate students, go work at a gorilla. Let them pay you. Learn the scale-up skills. How to put a distribution center. How do you manage a call center? How do you do sourcing from China? How do you build a new product development initiative? Learn how to get to scale. Develop skills to scale. When you work at a gorilla, you learn the skills to scale. And when you are at a gorilla, you learn all the mistakes the gorillas make. And when you work at a gorilla, you develop the network. And when you find the opportunity, you go create your company. It doesn't mean you shouldn't start tomorrow when you graduate. You can start, but very quickly bring in people who have the skills to scale. So build a team that have the skills to scale. Okay. So industry experience. And this data is not only from the United States. We are seeing this in developing countries as well. Sorry, this is in Spanish. Again, they have Colombia has a database of 850 scale-up entrepreneurs. Average age, 35. Very well educated. Most of them have master's degrees. And they have significant work experience working in a gorilla. So I push you, if you don't want to start, if you don't have ideas to start immediately, go work for a gorilla, get paid, learn the skills to scale. Okay. So skills to scale, not just ideas. Okay. Ideas are dime a dozen. Any ass has ideas. Okay. Okay. We put so much focus on ideas and less on skills to scale. So don't get deviated. What you need to build. You need to build skills, not just ideas. Ideas are dime a dozen. All asses have it. Okay. So and we see ecosystem building is a key part of it. What we call as anchor companies that spin off monkeys from gorillas. Silicon Valley was built out of 3 companies. HP, Shockley Labs, Intel. They created all the monkeys because these gorillas taught these monkeys how to skills to scale. In the Boston area, it was a company called Digital Equipment Corporation. Out of Digital Equipment Corporation came so many monkeys. Without Eli Lilly, Indianapolis would not have been a great city. Without Disney, Orlando would still be a swamp. Okay. Waterloo, Ontario was just a small, sleepy university town, but BlackBerry created 200 monkeys in that ecosystem. So that's why Bangalore is such an amazing ecosystem, because it has amazing gorillas. Even when I was young, when I left India 34 years ago, I remember HMT, HAL, PEL, all these gorillas existed. And that's why Bangalore is such an amazing ecosystem, because of all the gorillas. Of course, today it is Infosys, Wipro, all the other gorillas that we all know about. So great gorillas give birth to great monkeys and robust innovation ecosystems. When I go give talks, most of the time, monkeys are talking to monkeys, monkeys are talking to monkeys. No, 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 no. Here you should have gorillas sitting because the great gorillas give rise to great monkeys. Let me stop here. Questions, comments?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
If I have time, I don't want to take time away from Alan. He's my mentor and, and guru. So I want to give him enough time to chat as well. So
yes, sir. So the energy level, what you have said here, we don't want to break it. And I thought we'll first start with Dr. Ellen, and then we'll take the questions for both of you. Is that fine? Yeah.
Perfect.
So Sayeda Shifa, you can go ahead. You can introduce our speaker now.
Thank you, Dr. Varsha. I feel immensely privileged to introduce our next speaker for the session, Professor Alan R. Cohen. Professor Cohen recently got retired from Babson College, USA. He has been formerly the Distinguished Professor of Global Leadership and for 7 years, VP of Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty and responsible for all academic activities. He has taught at Babson from 1982 to 2020, the last 10 of those years in residence at San Francisco campus. He grew up working part-time in family retail business. He has held numerous part-time entrepreneurial ventures during college and graduate school. He holds undergraduate degree from Amartya College in the year 1959, MBA in 1961, and DPA in 1967 from Harvard Business School. He spent 1961 to 62 case writing for HBS in the Philippines, 1963 to 65 helping start Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, and also completed research of doctoral thesis and eventual book, Tradition, Change and Conflict in the Indian Family Business. With his 3 colleagues at University of New Hampshire, he created innovative way of teaching organizational behavior, treating the classroom as an organization, then wrote matching, best-selling textbook and teaching manual with detailed directions, effective behavior in organizations. Learning from the interplay of cases, concepts, and students' experience. Based on consulting and research in organizations and with managers, he co-wrote with D. Bradford 6 practice-oriented books on leadership and influence named Managing for Excellence, The Guide for Developing High Performance in Contemporary Organization, Power Up, Transforming Organizations Through Shared Leadership, Influence Without Authority, Influence Up, and Alternative Work Schedules. Integrating Individuals and Organization Need with Edge Gadden, which was awarded in 1978. Prize for Best Book by American Society of Personal Administration, along with Entrepreneurship in Every Generation. How successful family business develop their next leaders with Pramodita Sharma. He also has to his credit many journal articles on these topics. He has been consulting with established and entrepreneurial companies and social enterprises. He has also served on several nonprofit boards, and he is thoroughly inspired by a constant message from his father that says, be a leader, not a follower. Dear sir, it's an absolute privilege and honor to have you with us for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I am really thrilled to be here for several reasons. The 2 years I spent in Ahmedabad were the 2 most interesting personal and professional years of my life. I still look back on them fondly, and this was an excuse to think about many of the things that I learned back then and since based on what I learned then. Secondly, I was delighted to be invited by an enterprising university like Jain, and I'm grateful to the Jain leaders, Dr. Chenraj Roychand, Dr. Raj Singh, Chairman and Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dinesh Nilakant, who's the Director for the Center for Management Studies, and Dr. Varsha Agarwal, who is the summit convener and the head of the research and consultancy cell of the Center for Management Studies, all at Jain. Thank you for being so enterprising as being able to put on an event which attracts so many people. I appreciate it. I also am delighted to be able to listen yet again to Jay Rao. As you can see, he is very energetic and filled with all kinds of good ideas. And I'm glad that you got to hear him also. Another reason that I'm thrilled is that the process of putting this presentation together turned out to be meaningful to me. When I was asked,
So do you want me to share the slides?
in 1 second.
Yeah.
What happened was that the invitation said it was to take everything I know about entrepreneurship and leadership that I've learned over my career, which is a monumental assignment. And I spent a lot of time thinking about the parts. And what I saw were some patterns where I hadn't made full connections between the different things that I've done in my career. And so for me, this was a chance to step back and see some things that weren't quite so clear to me in the doing, which is the way I think lots of new ideas come about. And I'm going to pass those along to you. So perhaps we could put on the slides. Let me get probably share my screen. I think that's the way to do this.
Yes, sir.
And where are we here? Okay. Here we go.
There. Yes, yes. Yeah.
This could actually happen. So I call this talk Entrepreneurship for All. What does it take and when is it appropriate? Because it isn't appropriate for everyone, as Jay was making clear by his data. By the way, as I'll say in a minute, entrepreneurship is not just about startups. It's a way of thinking. It's seeing where there is a need that is unfilled and figuring out how to fill that need. That's thinking entrepreneurially, which is what we're about at Babson. So here's my agenda. I'm going to leave you with a lot of takeaways, which I hope you can actually use. I'm going to tie together all this research and experience about leadership, influence, change, and entrepreneurship. And you heard a list of books that I've done on those subjects. I think each of them was important and useful, but turns out they connect together better than I'd seen before. And I want to reinforce the idea that you should come away from this and your education understanding the need for judgment, not formulas. You can't scale up or start up or implement a new idea by just following some simple little formula or some few steps. So understand that this is not about shortcuts. And then I hope that everyone sees that they can act innovatively, but that not every idea is a good idea. And that's part of what you need to learn to discern. So here's some of the core logic behind what I'm going to talk about. We live in a VUCA world. VUCA is a term standing for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It was first written about in 1987 by Warren Bennis, who was my mentor and a leadership guru. And if it was true then, it's even more true now. Things with the help of COVID-19 have become more uncertain and volatile and complex and ambiguous. However, heroic leadership assumptions, which are widely carried by people, are in the way. Across many cultures, all kinds of industries, foreign profit, nonprofit, government, and otherwise. Anyone who gets named a leader begins to make heroic assumptions about leadership. The leader is the one who's supposed to have all the ideas, who's supposed to make all the decisions, who's supposed to control everything, come up with the answers. The trouble is that gets in the way of creating the kind of innovative organizations with collaborative teamwork and individual growth that's needed to deal in this complex world. So heroic leadership assumptions should be dead, but they die very hard. They're deeply embedded across every culture I've ever looked at. And I have looked at many. In order to move to something that's beyond heroic leadership, which we call post-heroic leadership, that encourages initiative, collaboration, and openness, you have to have influence skills, which require reciprocity and exchange. The way you influence somebody is by giving them something that they care about in return for what you need. And the need for innovation, for what happens with scale-ups, for entrepreneurial organizations, is exploding. And yet, you also need to be good at the operational issues as well. So it turns out that ambidexterity, which means being right and left-handed, is also needed by individuals and by organizations, because it's not just good enough to have innovative ideas and be freewheeling. You have to deliver. You have to make sure that you can get what you need and deliver it. So you have to have operational excellence as well as creativity in organizations. And it turns out that's very difficult. Many people are good at one and not the other. You can see over in the corner a small picture. That's of a marvelous Indian entrepreneur named Chandran Menon. He was the founder of Menon and Menon diesel engines. I got a chance to work with him. He was very inventive, only had 2 years of technical education, but his earliest childhood memory was of diesel engines in the fields, drawing water to irrigate agriculture. And he said, I'm going to grow up and make those someday. And he did. And he built, with his brother, built a company, Menon and Menon Diesel Engines in Kolhapur, where they were from. It was doing all right, but he began to see that he needed other skills in order to get really big. And through my college roommate who was consulting through the Peace Corps, I got brought to India to help Dr. Menon, who said, I want to learn to be a good manager and not just a good entrepreneur. A very rare thing among entrepreneurs, to see the value of management. I don't have time to tell you the full story of working with him, but in the workshop that we did, we had task forces, and one of the task forces was the first to report out what it had been working on. They got about 10 sentences into their report when Mr. Menon, who was very smart, began to say, no, that'll never work. Here's why, here's what you're forgetting. And all the air went out of the room. And the consultant to that group said, look, I don't have a stake in this. I don't care about the idea, but I can tell you, if I were a member of this group, it would be completely demotivating to me. And Menon stopped in his tracks, was silent, and then tears began to roll down his face. And he apologized and said, I'm so sorry, I had no idea that I was doing that. That was a big turning point for him. It's documented in his biography, which is called Casting a Destiny. And he tells the story there. The biographer tells the story of how this happened and what a difference it made. So there was somebody who wanted to be ambidextrous and was trying to learn how to do it. Entrepreneurship is one solution, but it can't just be for the sole founder. It has to be for everyone at every level, because ideas and solutions are needed deep within organizations, and nobody can do it alone. Innovation's a team sport. There's mythology about the lone heroic genius, which comes from the entrepreneurs who are successful telling their story in retrospect, in which they leave out all the things they did wrong. They leave out all the things they had to learn along the way. And you don't realize how much all the people around them were needed. So Jay said it in his talk, you've got to find a team to support the process of scaling up, of implementation. Innovation's a team sport. There's mythology about the lone heroic genius, but that's rarely possible. Relationships turn out to really matter, which for people who are technically trained can be problematic because they like things more than people. And they see all the things that have to do with building a network and working with others as a big nuisance or a waste of time. But it's critical for everybody in all kinds of organizations. So how do you actually get innovators to be ambidextrous? Well, they have to learn to do small experiments, learn fast. You know, the saying, fail fast to learn fast. Try again, modify things. And one of my conclusions is that not all good ideas make for good enterprises or outcomes. You've got to have a lot going in order to spread the risk. That's how you don't blow all your savings or all the savings you get from investors. So here's a chart where I tried to picture this to make shorthand. The three things in yellow are the three things needed in an innovative organization. You've got to have individuals who have entrepreneurial initiative. That is, they look for things that can help other people succeed. You've got to have supportive organization and leadership that creates the kind of organization that encourages people to speak up with their ideas. And you need to have a compatible ecosystem. Jay talked about ecosystems, and they're very important. They're part of what supports the activity. If you do those all, you can get people to stick around, to make a real commitment to the organization and to keep learning. Otherwise, we get what we're now seeing, which is more and more people quitting and saying, oh, I'll go find someplace else to work, or I'll drop out of the workforce for a while. But you don't want to lose your best talent. So you need to create an innovative organization and these three things. The starting lessons I have are that the entrepreneurial mindset is looking for better ways to do things to improve life for others. Relationships really matter. Everyone can be entrepreneurial, whatever the kind of organization. And I just have some very fast examples from very different kinds of organizations and people. Where's the least likely place to find women entrepreneurs? In the Middle East. But recently, Middle Eastern countries have realized that they can't all live on oil. And so they've allowed small business to flourish, and they've even allowed women to do it. All of a sudden, there are dozens of coffee shop and coffee entrepreneurs who are women in Middle Eastern countries. People who never did anything like that because they were kept at home are discovering how to make business. Here's one of my most important lessons. Don't fall in love with your technology, your product, or your idea. Jay said ideas are a dime a dozen. Yes, good ideas aren't all a dime a dozen. So you have to find out if it's good. But when you fall in love with what you've made or what you've discovered, it's easy to tune out all negative data and to not learn. So you need to somehow or other embrace what I recently learned to call predictable unpredictability. those things which you can't know because you have to do something and get feedback on it before you know whether it's any good. And then there are things which you didn't know and will show up when you start trying out. So not all good ideas make for good enterprises. And being able to get to the point where you say, this seemed like a good idea, but it's not as good as I thought, is also smart. Although perseverance also matters. And learning to stick with something long enough to let it be successful through many iterations is very important. But so is being able to say, I tried, but it's not going to work. I don't know if the way the pictures are on the side, you can see this photo that I put in more for a smile than anything. Let's see, I'll just move it over for a second, maybe. Well, everybody's side picture's in the way. This is a group of bridegrooms at a recent Indian wedding I attended. And the bridegrooms are all wearing these vests and white shirts, dressed alike, and they entered the wedding dancing to hip hop music, bringing big smiles to the rest of the people, most of whom were Indian at the wedding. It was a very traditional wedding, so I think of it as ambidextrous, and I thought that the bridegrooms demonstrated amazing teamwork. So that was meant to make you smile. I don't know if it does. So what are some of the core challenges? In the right conditions, anyone can be innovative and take initiative, no matter the size or type of enterprise, for profit or not, social or governmental, or entrepreneurs and startups. Here are some examples. Serena Williams, great tennis player, but also very entrepreneurial. She now has a clothing line. She's doing a lot of interesting commercials. She seems to be taking up some acting. She's somebody who is going beyond her core expertise. The Grateful Dead, everybody knows who they are, famous rock group. They were extremely entrepreneurial. They turned the business on its head. Everybody said the way you make money as a musician is by giving concerts so that people will buy your recordings. The Grateful Dead said, if we can put on spectacular concerts, we can make money from the tickets. And whether or not we sell the music is more incidental. And so they made a lot of money from very successful concerts. They developed sound systems that could be heard by 80,000 people at once. And they did incredibly well for many, many years. Artists all have to be entrepreneurial, though most of them don't like it. I'll just give you one example. Piraji Sagara. He was an artist who lived in Ahmedabad, who I got to be friends with. He came from a group in Kolhapur, in Maharashtra, that had to leave because there was drought. They moved to Ahmedabad. There were 3,400 people living in one city block with 3 running taps. And their life was very difficult. He made money selling demolished houses with the beautiful carved teak pieces that came from that. And then he turned those into art. And he took pieces and he put them on plywood and with nails and staples and paint, and became an artist. And I'm pleased to say I gave him his first show at my house in Ahmedabad. And he taught art and sold art for years. I have a daughter who's an artist. She doesn't like that she has to be entrepreneurial, but nobody buys art unless you get it in front of them. So you have to figure out how to market, which isn't easy for somebody who likes making things rather than selling them. Yes, many cultures discourage risk and failure, but here's a dirty little secret. Entrepreneurs really don't like risk. Entrepreneurs try to figure out everything they can so that what they do isn't risky. Even though objectively we know the odds aren't great, 5 out of 7 new businesses fail. But every entrepreneur thinks that he or she or they is going to be successful. And the really big hits come from people who do an enormous amount of homework, and they figure out an angle that nobody else has seen. And because they've done their homework, they can make what look like big bets, but aren't such big bets for them. So yes, there are cultures that say, no, you can't take a chance, work for somebody, don't ever start anything. You have to learn how to get around that. And then I'm going to say that leaders ought to use their power and influence to make others in their organization powerful in the service of organizational goals, not to show off their power or status. Being powerful isn't so you can go around saying, ha, 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 I'm big and I can do something to you. It's so you can enable other people to use their strengths. That's what you want to do as a leader. Some of the challenges are making new things happen usually takes incredibly hard work and long hours, which is why passion is often recommended for entrepreneurs, but it can get in the way. It can make you blind to things you ought to see. So yes, you need passion, and yes, you need to put in long hours. Yes, you need your education. Yes, you need to do your homework, but you often have to be able to step back and let go. Every leader will get all kinds of advice, whether they want it or not. And sometimes they have to ignore the advice and go against it. But you often don't find out until afterwards, sometimes several years later, whether you made a good decision against all odds, despite everybody telling you not to do it, or you were just being stubbornly stupid and stupidly stubborn, excuse me. And afterwards, people said, oh, what a pig-headed idiot. Because all important decisions take a while to show whether they're good or not. My favorite example is building a chip plant. It takes 5 to 7 years for a chip plant to get built. That's a long time to wait to find out if your $5 billion investment was a good one or not. But that's what you have to do if you're in the chip business. And that's why you need to build a network and build advisors you can trust, find experts. But sometimes you'll have to say no. I've already said the other 2 points, so let me go forward. Why aren't these advancing? There we go. So what's the ultimate challenge? Lifting the poor and transforming the rich without destroying the earth and the natural capital that supports life on earth, and somehow make money doing it, or make money for a reinvestment if you're a nonprofit or a social agency or a government agency. You have to have action plans that generate income or contributions in order to keep going. So here's my list of takeaways. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, and I'm going to conclude with the same ones. So I already said, don't fall in love with the idea of entrepreneurship, that entrepreneurship's a good thing. I see it at Babson. I see it with entrepreneurs quite often. They love the idea of being an entrepreneur, but they don't necessarily have a viable product or idea or technology. So make sure that you're not just falling in love with an abstraction, but that you have something which in fact can work. Don't become so enchanted with your product or technology or idea that you ignore customer review, whether there are real needs, how it will be used. That's very important, what some people call marketing. Definitely do research. Will anybody pay the necessary price you're going to need in order to sell something? Is your idea defensible or not? In the internet age, it's easy to start up and scale up. but it's also easy to copy if it was easy to get in. So you have to see if what you're trying to create is defensible. Is the ecosystem aligned? Is out there anybody ready to act on your great idea? Some things are ahead of their time. Sometimes you can't fulfill your supply needs. Sometimes you can't find skilled employees who can do the technology needed. That's important. You need to figure that out. But don't fall into the big company mode. Don't try to create a perfect plan without action, testing, and feedback. A marvelous woman academic named Sarasvati, who teaches in the United States, I heard give a talk in India on what she called effectuation theory, a terrible name. At Babson, we call it entrepreneurial thought in action. And what she discovered was that when entrepreneurs actually go forward, they don't sit back and make a perfect plan with 5 years details filled in. They figure out, what do they have at hand? What do they know? What can they actually create that somebody might need? And how do they test it and learn fast? And so we call that entrepreneurial thought in action. And therefore, don't overlook small market segments, which help you build volume and experience. But do determine what you're willing to lose on each experiment and in total. You want to have a lot of experiments going on, but don't try to do your whole plan or idea at once. Test, 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 test. Do see entrepreneurship as a team sport, and don't fail to build a strong team. A strong team is a team that shares the responsibility for the success of whatever it is you're trying to do, and where every member is willing to contribute ideas, speak up, and push back on you, the top person. You need to make people strong enough so you don't have to hold back, because many people are afraid of authority, and if you have a strong opinion, they'll just go quiet. But you need them to push back, so avoid heroic thinking and don't try to do it all yourself, and keep trying to build the team and teach them that you welcome their feedback. Make sure you create and articulate a compelling vision. You want to formulate it in a way that inspires commitment and excitement. I learned a new idea recently. It's language and market fit. Rita McGrath, a marvelous strategy teacher, came up with that term, that the language you talk has to fit the market you're trying to conquer. You want to keep up with what customers really want and find a way of describing it so that they're moved to purchase, and find a way to talk so your employees are moved to stay. Deb DeSanzo is somebody who we knew at Babson. She got her MBA there. She worked for HP, and she was put in charge of a new product they acquired, a portable fibrillator for people who are having heart attacks. Because it turns out every minute you don't get diagnosed and treated with a heart attack costs you 10% probability of living. At the time, fibrillators were big and expensive. They certainly weren't portable. But she got this unit and helped lead the process of redesign and came up with a vision that excited everybody. They said, and this was created, by the way, with her team. She didn't do it by herself. We build products as if every person we love depended on them. Think about working at a company that thinks about saving lives by building products that every person can depend on who you love. And in fact, they built a very viable business. It became the leading one. If you go into many places now, they have a portable fibrillator, even a child can operate. It's foolproof, because if you're putting the electrodes in the wrong place, it doesn't work. If it's overcharging, it doesn't work. And even a little kid can follow the instructions. She subsequently moved on. She became head of IBM's Watson for Health, Artificial Intelligence for Health. And she now works for Best Buy, leading their innovation efforts. Marvelous, marvelous person. Okay, so what are some of the organizational mechanisms that facilitate entrepreneurial behavior? A clear entrepreneurial vision, reinforced constantly. Dr. Liliana Mayo made an organization called CASPI in Peru. I got this from Adam Solkowitz's book, Extreme Entrepreneurship. He went around the world and found people leading social enterprises who were very unlikely. She was a doctor. She had no personal resources, but she saw a need for education. And she built CASPI, and they educate schoolgirls. And she said, telling people about your crazy but constructive ambitions can result in a surprising amount of support. She uses her passion for the idea to raise money from individuals, from people who are willing to put up their money, and not necessarily from venture capitalists. In organizations that get entrepreneurial behavior, there are ample rewards and recognition. And the rewards are invested. They're not just given for people who have produced something. They're also bets made by the organization that somebody's got something worth pursuing and testing and trying out. Many small organizations think tiny. They pay small salaries and they withhold rewards, but you need people feeling they're among other smart people. So a lot of people get rewarded. Organizations that get entrepreneurial behavior have constant expectations of high and improving performance, but don't penalize people for failures unless they keep repeating the same one. That's very challenging for bosses, to not punish somebody who makes a mistake, but to appreciate their effort and have them try again with what they learned from their mistake. Open access to information, not information on a need to know, because you don't always know in advance who needs to know what, and ideas can come from anywhere at any level. It can help to have internal venture funds where people in the organization can apply for support money for an idea or a product or to test something. And they get some small amount of funds without going through a very elaborate process. And they get to test the idea and learn from it. And then this is something that, this is my term, but I believe strongly in finding a way to bring the voice of the customer inside every organization. And there are lots of ways to do that. Sometimes managers accompany salespeople just to listen and hear what the customers talk about, and then you figure out what they really need. Or they sit and listen to complaints. They're just lurkers on complaint lines, and they listen for patterns that say, this might be a way we can modify our products or our product line, or make a tweak in the way we distribute, or something that's leading to the complaints. Or they create advisory boards. Although I have to say, I recently discovered a company where the advisory board was disbanded because they had a complaint against the CEO who didn't want to hear it. So he just dismissed the whole advisory board. If you have one, you ought to pay attention to their advice. Don't have to listen to everything, but you can learn things from them. What kind of personal skills do people need? I'm not going to talk about this in any detail because I think you know about this. You have to be comfortable with conflict. You have to be able to facilitate the team, including getting to a compelling vision, which they can contribute to making. You have to be good at stakeholder analysis, figure out who cares about what it is, your idea or your product, and then paying attention to how to accommodate them, influence skills, and creating what I call business plans, which aren't formal business plans, but is a plan for how what you're proposing is going to make money or make funds for reinvestment, or be a way of talking that gets people to want to contribute to the organization. Even people in social enterprises need to learn how to talk that way, or people in staff jobs who have ideas need to learn how to show that what they're proposing is going to lead to some net gain for the organization. Here's some leadership advice. Learn to lead and manage, like Chandran Menon. Resist heroism and stay open to learning, and encourage a voice for everyone. Build a shared responsibility team. That's a team in which every member shares the responsibility for making decisions and for success. But make sure your own view gets heard. You want a strong team so you don't have to hold back, so they don't go quiet when they find out what you think. Have confidence enough to listen, and listen hard all the time. And if you make a mistake, admit it. That kind of vulnerability gets admiration from people. Overrule if you have to, but don't discourage people opposing you. You need their pushback. I said before, you have to be both persistent and flexible. Stick with things as long as there's a chance to modify it and improve it, but be flexible. Be willing to let go of something or get into something different or adjacent. And in order to be influential, focus on getting the task done and helping others meet their needs, not on your own influence. I've often said it's better to be effective and get something done than to walk away saying, oh, I'm so much smarter than they are. If they only would have listened to me, I was right. Well, that doesn't get anything done. So it's not terribly helpful. Dr. Agrawal, do I have a few more minutes?
Yeah, I think 2 more minutes, if that is fine.
Minutes. Okay. Well, I think I've already given you the takeaways, so I'm only going to put them up again.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to come to the end because I really am looking forward to hearing the questions and answering people's questions. I like the interchange and the dialogue back and forth. And I wish all the audience and Jane the very best. So
Thank you.
Let's have at it for both Jay Rao and for me, anything that people want to ask.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session and inculcating all of us in various uplifting attributes, conferring your valuable views and sharing your profound ideas. I thank both of you, Professor Rao and Professor Cohen, for accepting our invite and being here. We'll just take few questions because we are just running short of time, and quickly I'll take just a few questions from participants. I think Dr. Rao already utilized the time, and
I'm going to leave it to Alan because I have already answered a lot of questions on the question box. So let Alan take these questions for him. Yeah.
Okay, I can't watch chat at the same time, so I haven't seen questions for me if there were any.
Sure, sir. So I'll take this one quick question from Beena ma'am. She tells that Dr. Cohen, ideas are easy, but how do you smell failure?
Very good question. And smell is the right metaphor. You smell failure because you're not getting responses, because nobody will actually put up funds to support the idea. You look hard at what customers, potential customers, internal customers, if you're selling an idea to your organization, what they need. And are they responsive? Do they get intrigued? Do they want to be involved? And if you don't get any of that, then you smell that you're not going to have a success and you get out. That's the best I can describe it.
Okay. So one last question I'll take for both of you actually. So we would love to hear both of your views on this. Do good entrepreneurs are good managers as well?
I've already said, not automatically. A lot of good entrepreneurs are lousy managers, Steve Jobs got fired from his own company because he was such a bad manager. He was so impossible. He also was brilliant. And there aren't so many Steve Jobs who can be as brilliant as he was. But he wasn't a very good model of a manager. So either you have to be a good manager and learn the entrepreneurial skills, or you have to be intuitively entrepreneurial. That is, you learn to listen for good ideas and you listen to people and pay attention and come up with ideas. Or you partner with people who are good at the thing you're not good at. So that's part of why you want a team and a good network. Don't be afraid of networks. You look for people who have complementary skills and knowledge. And if you aren't good at it, find somebody who is and hug them close. Get them to be your partner or partners. That's how you make up for what you aren't good at. But it certainly isn't automatic. The skill set isn't identical.
Well said, sir. Dr. Rao? Yeah.
The good news is that we can learn. We are not just born with it. Maybe some people are born with it, but all of us can learn. We can be a good manager and we can be a good entrepreneur. Okay.
Right.
So
right.
if we didn't have the skills to learn, Babson wouldn't exist. Okay. Right. Not all of us are born entrepreneurs. Not all of us are born managers. Okay. And it's an experience game. We can learn it. The skills we can learn of being a good manager, and we can learn the skills of a good entrepreneur. Yeah. And with good feedback.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Feedback is the most important. Most humans don't get feedback immediately. So
I want to add something, Jay.
Yeah, please.
School is great. Concepts in theory are great, but partly you learn entrepreneurship and leadership by doing something and seeing how it goes, getting feedback. So it's not blind action. It's playing back and forth between ideas and concepts and theory and research and testing. And you have to get out and do things. So that's how you learn the skills you don't have. You do something. I should have said that firms that are entrepreneurial give people whole responsibilities. They put them in charge of something. Sometimes it's a small project in a small territory, and then a bigger one, and then a bigger one, and you learn from your experiences. Every good leader talks about the time that they were in over their heads. They had an assignment where they didn't know what to do, and they learned from the sweat and doing it and getting feedback and seeing they could survive. So I agree with what you're saying.
Whether it's customer feedback, whether it's employee feedback, it doesn't matter. It is time to feedback, time to correction. Right? And the faster you can do that, the faster you will learn. Because entrepreneurship and innovation is a knowledge game. I repeat, it's a knowledge game. It's not just an ideas game.
Right.
Okay. Whether you're getting feedback about the business model, whether you have feedback about cash flow, whether it's feedback about the problem you're solving, it is time to correction, time to feedback. So the faster you go, the faster you learn.
Right. So create something, even though it may be more expensive to do a custom model of what it is you're trying to do, and then see how people respond. So I'm just agreeing with you, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Wonderful.
I'll just do just 1 minute. We'll just do a formality of vote of thanks. That's all. So thank you both of you for such an engaging discussion and enlightening us with your wonderful views and enriching thoughts, quenching our thirst for knowledge, bringing in your expertise and experience before us, and engaging in such a fruitful, constructive, and open exchanges throughout the session.
Will participants be able to get slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because there's a bibliography at the end of mine, just in case.
I'll share it with exam. Okay. Good. So with the example of monkeys, gorillas, it was quite candid and fun-filled. Thank you once again for adding value to the summit through your intellect and words of wisdom, clarifying our participants' doubts through your in-depth knowledge. It's been indeed a privilege to listen to your wonderful session. I'm sure our participants would have taken back a lot from your engaging discussion. Both of you enlightened us with your profound thoughts and innovative ideas, bringing an innovative approach to all of us. Thank you once again to Dr. Rao and Dr. Cohen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, professors. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go get them.
LinkedIn. Link us on LinkedIn. So we will be in touch, okay?
Yes, I'll engage with you because had lots of questions, but I'll engage you offline. So
good.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Dr. Shiva, you can take
Thank
it
you,
over.
ma'am. Thank you, sir. As the entire ambience is filled with the intellectual aura of Professor Rao and Professor Cohen, we wish to continue the same vibe for our next session as well. I'm immensely grateful for the honor and privilege of introducing the most awaited and magnetic speaker, Dr. Dinesh Neelkant. Dr. Neelkant is a well-known academic thought leader, dynamic administrator, entrepreneur, and an entrepreneurship education evangelist. He is currently the Dean, Faculty of Management, and Director of Center for Management Studies, CMS B School, School of Graduate Studies, School of Computer Science and IT, and admissions at Jain Deemed to be University, Bangalore. He is a passionate leader with multidisciplinary skills and experience in research, academic policy planning, and development of the innovative educational pedagogy. A thorough academician and an entrepreneur himself, he has developed various entrepreneurship and pedagogic models, such as 21 Steps Towards Entrepreneurship, SPIN Model for Entrepreneurship, Inclusive Learning Model as per the National Education Policy 2020 of the Government of India, Theory, Application, Practice and Research, or the TAP-R model as per NEP. Dr. Neelkant has launched StudentNirbhar.com, an e-commerce platform which is an entrepreneurship initiative of the student, by the student, and for the adherent. And he has designed a software to monitor and evaluate the academic process. Dr. Neelkant has been conferred with various awards and accolades. Prominent among them are Communication and Leadership Award and Corporate Recognition Award by Toastmasters International USA in 2011 and 2016, CMS as Center of Excellence under his leadership by the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, CISI London in 2018, Global Business Challenge Award by Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA UK in 2019, and CSR Eminent Director of Leading Institute Award by Competition Success Review in 2020, to name a few. Dr. Neelkant has also been instrumental in getting the Institute into the prestigious Limca Book of Records for organizing Precipice, an international management fest held in Italy in the year 2012, with the largest contingent of students. A man of deep and enduring commitments, Dr. Neelkant exemplifies the true spirit of both intellectual and business leadership. This spirit is what he has employed in the institutions under his leadership, as he believes in the motto, performance is reality. And it's an absolute honor and privilege to welcome you, sir, as our esteemed speaker of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for that long introduction.
Welcome,
and
sir.
I
Welcome,
hope
sir.
I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm audible. Thank you very much. My pranams to all of you. And after listening to Dr. Jay Rao and Alan Cohen, now I am just thinking that should I have a session? Because the way both of them did a Jugalbandi and they had a session, it was fantastic, and a lot of takeaways out of that session. I don't know how many of the students have actually heard them, but then there were a lot of takeaways. So anyway, I'll take my session, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So respected Dr. Jay Rao and Dr. Alan Cohen, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Raj Singh, all the principal officers, delegates, and participants. So my pranams to all of you, and thanks for giving me an opportunity in this international summit of entrepreneurship, AVLOKAN 2. And it's indeed a great pleasure that to be a part of this. So my topic, which was given to me, was entrepreneurship education and the university education and entrepreneurship. So when I look at this topic, first let me give birth to this topic, and then we will discuss about it. Emerging India, Startup India, Make in India, Skill India, Digital India. Everybody's talking about it. You go anywhere, you'll find that the government agencies, the corporates, and everybody is talking about entrepreneurship. Everybody's talking about conducting competitions, and everybody's telling that, okay, we will fund you. And then you have a lot of, competition between the venture capitalists to see that you can get a unicorn. And this process is going on a huge basis. If you look into after pandemic, you'll find that a lot of tech entrepreneurs have come in, and majority of them are thinking entrepreneurship from the technology point of view, not knowing that entrepreneurship is not tech entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is more to that. Coming back to the point is that you have to, when you look at this, people are getting excited about entrepreneurship, and especially students are getting very excited about it. But then there needs a direction for the students to understand that how this has to be done. And this gives birth to the topic, university education and entrepreneurship. After pandemic, everybody's talking about saying that there is going to be a sea change. There has to be there is going to be a big transformation. We are talking about it. You'll find that now, earlier we were not used to online, but now all of us have got used to it. So now people are talking about that, how technology is taking over education. Then the questions are coming in that, is it that online is going to be the next answer? Now all these questions are getting unanswered. But let me tell you something very interesting. When I start with university education, the views expressed by me here are with exceptions. I repeat, when I'm starting with university education, the views expressed by me are with exceptions. So in case if you feel that, you are not going to do this, or you are already doing it and you are the best, then in that case, good luck to you. That's fine. But let me give my views on this. The scenario of the university education, to my belief, is actually not up to the mark. 21st century kids are being taught by 20th century adults using 19th century curriculum. Now we are teaching for jobs which are not going to exist in future. By the time a student is going to become a graduate, and whatever I'm going to teach him, at that point of time, when the student is finishing his graduation, you will find that the way the commerce and management and the corporate world is undergoing a transformation, you will find that this will not exist. So the student who is ready for it is not even knowing what to do now, because that doesn't exist. So what I'm supposed to do? Then the question arises that I'm going to teach you something generic. And when you are going to be taught something generic, at that point of time, what is going to happen here? That you are going to become clueless and you will not be that effective in the market. You will not have those skills. You will not have that software. You will not have that technology. And at that point of time, what is happening here? That when you are out as a product, you are not required in the industry. Now the question arises that what is happening? The problem here is that our teachers are not at all equipped to teach all this. So the first step towards this is, towards the university education, is that the teachers have to be equipped a lot. If the teachers are being equipped, now just I'll give you an example. I think the academics fraternity will agree to me that the moment UGC said that a PhD is compulsory if you are going to teach in a degree college. If you are going to have a PhD and if you have a certain number of research papers, then in that case you are eligible for that. And look at it, you'll find that every teacher is trying to achieve it. But every teacher, if would have been updated on the lines of technology, if would have been updated on the lines of what is happening in the industry, if would have been updated on the lines of the softwares what are required to teach the subject, and if you would have been updated with what is happening in the industry on that subject, which we have to now give it to students. My take on this is, to the academic fraternity, is that the student who is sitting in front of us, all of us, including me, I'm also a part of you. I will tell you, they are 10,000 times faster than what we are here. They have a machine which answers everything to them. And if we are not going to be different, and if we are not going to be tech savvy, if you are not going to be future oriented, if you are not going to be futuristic, and if you are not going to know something better than what they know, I'm sorry, what is going to happen here is that we will not be able to deliver what we want to. So there should be something like an update certificate of teachers, and the upgradation should be on the lines of industry, technology, and research. And this certificate should be given by the UGC to the teachers, and that will actually make the difference. Because otherwise, the teachers are just going to do research. And you should agree to this and take it with a bag of salt that not every research is that good at all. So at a point of time, it's only about that, okay, I have done my mandatory requirements, and on these lines now I'm eligible. Is that the reason why we have come into this field? I have a very big question. Coming back to the point is, we are talking about that people who actually are teaching businesses have never built businesses. And then you'll find that in business school, you will have teachers who are teaching businesses. So the people who are from the corporate world, as well as they have thought, they should be the masters for the students, which can really make a difference. Therefore, the output is not producing high quality of learning experience. And that is where you'll find that every corporate says that if you look into the today's generation, you'll find that they don't stay, they don't have knowledge, they don't know the basics. And all this is because the reason being what is happening is that we are producing substandard output. And this substandard output is actually damaging. Therefore, it is a need and a must where we should all come together from the university point of view and see that we get ourselves updated. There is definitely an effort from NEP. But I also have a lot of thoughts there, because NEP fine, but then there are challenges there also. Because NEP says that it's like buying a new vehicle. We have bought a new vehicle. All of us have read about the brochure of the vehicle, but nobody knows how to drive the vehicle. So if at all, if this is the case, and then if the teachers are not equipped, then what are we going to deliver? We have put it everything on the paper. But then when it comes to the delivery, we are not equipped. So education has given us a purpose, See, education, basically, why education? Education gives a purpose, education gives a result, okay, and a success rate. So when we say purpose, what does it mean? Purpose, you develop yourself, you become a better citizen, okay, you say that you are the best in the industry, whatever it is. When we say result, okay, we are talking about jobs. And then after that, when we are talking about the success rate, trust me, this is a very interesting thing. All of you will like. This is I've seen in my education career. I'm a teacher, so I have seen this. When you divide the class into three, that is the top, the middle, medium, and the average. And very surprisingly, you will see the top ones will definitely place themselves somewhere here and there. The middle ones are the ones who are settled, but actually you'll find the average guys are doing really well. And this is how that question comes to me always, that how is that these average guys are doing so well? Okay, so why? The reason being, then it reminds me of a question where a task was given in a class, and the task was told that this has to be done in 7 days. So at that point on, the teacher comes to the class and says that this has to be done in 7 days. So the first benchers, all the 90 walas, okay, very attentive people, and they said that, sir, we will think about it. And then the middle guys are saying that, okay, sir, we will try, and I hope so that we will manage. And the last benchers were the ones who got up and says, "Jo hoga dekha jayega, kar lenge, sir." And that is how you find that attitude, okay, makes a difference for the average ones to be successful. And therefore, the whole class is successful. I'm not denying that the top guys are not good. Definitely, they are good. But you will find that the average guy also becomes a job provider many a times rather than a job seeker. And this has actually been looked into. So this is a concept of how application-based training they have adopted, and that is how they have worked. You see, the average guys will never sit with a book for the whole month or something like that. So it's like, tomorrow is the exam, and those 30-40 pages they are going to study, and they're going to get their 60-65 marks, and their target is only that. But they are application based and they do it. And never you will find that those average guys have said that, okay, I have lost very badly, I failed very badly. Don't take it otherwise. I'm just trying to bifurcate the class in such a way and telling you that how, even though the teacher who was teaching them was one and was the same, and you'll find that how the different varieties of the students are there, and then how this application based learning, which is very practical oriented, actually makes a difference. Coming back to the point is the approaches. If I'm talking about the approach, there should be a design thinking approach to learning, as the world of entrepreneurs is quite different. You remember what Alan Cohen said, that don't fall in love with your idea. And then Jay Rao said that, a feedback is very important. So look at it, those thinkers, they are the thinkers of, entrepreneurship. Look at the way, the takeaways they have given. So as the world of entrepreneurs is quite different. Usually there is a highly uncertain environment, and therefore it requires a different type of skill set. Entrepreneurial learning must be through a method and a design-based approach. And how such course can be developed and designed, there should be focused on those skills. So when I'm coming to this part, I'm trying to understand two important things, and that is the about approach and the through approach. Now, this is a very interesting thing what we are talking about. There can be two approaches of teaching. One is the about and one is the through. So what is the about approach? About approach is the traditional pedagogy. What is the traditional pedagogy? Is like which doesn't engage students in activities. Okay, it gives you all goody teaching modules. Okay, and moving away from about to through. Now here, what I'm going to do is going through is by focusing on active experience. I remember the IM day, which is done by Sunita, one of our teacher. Look at the different countries which come together, and then what is their GDP and what is that country famous for. Now they're doing something. Now this is what is the through approach. If you're going to teach the students through approach, they will learn faster. It's about, teaching swimming. It's better to push them into the pool. Now that makes the difference rather than giving them a theory and writing a full to full marks that out of 10, this is how swimming has to be done. At this angle, the hand should go, and this angle, the leg should go. Instead of that, pushing them into the water and asking them, now do what you want to. And that is where I think so the true approach works. So there is a need to generate an entrepreneurial culture, and teams need to be framed. Each team needs a challenge to solve the problems, develop the growth mindset. There must be a formal course framework to start startup competitions, incubators. Now this is your syllabus. Your syllabus is this. Your syllabus is not books. The syllabus is where you are going to actually come out with something like, social entrepreneurship, coming out with solving a problem for your society. Why go far? Let us try to solve a problem within our premises. What can be done in an effective way? How effective we can be. So this is what I think can make a difference, and students will learn faster. Countless successful entrepreneurs never went to business schools, okay, and have not graduated from any college. You have a lot of examples on this, and then how they were successful. And because of their success, don't think that all of them were those who didn't go to schools and colleges have succeeded. There's the other side to it also. But then you'll find that these people, why they were successful, because they were practically based through their particular work, what they were doing. So preparing students for a career as an entrepreneur, we believe in supporting entrepreneurship to make a difference. Teach them technology, teach them skills, and that is how you'll find that universities can make a difference to the students. If student is coming out with an idea, student comes in with saying that, okay, I want to get into entrepreneurship, okay, we have to at that point of time understand that how to nurture that. Because every student or every individual who comes with an idea thinks that his idea is going to change the world. But as Alan Cohen said, that idea has to be evaluated. I'm coming to that point, that how that evaluation of an idea happens. Now, this can be the part of the syllabus which can make a difference to the student. Students come out with, we run a program on entrepreneurship. You'll find a lot of students coming in and saying that, sir, now tell me how to take it to another level. We have always seen that people coming and saying that, I have an idea, please fund me. It's not about that. It's about understand one thing. Funding will happen. Every thinker, every person who is an expert here will tell you that if you have a fantastic idea, funding will happen. There are a lot of people who can fund you. But whenever a person funds you, at that point of time, he looks into one particular thing, that how much are you ready? If you are ready for it, if you have to be at least 10% ready for it, then the 90% will come. If you are saying nobody will invest on your dreams, nobody invest on your dreams. People will invest in you when you are having a 10% of preparation. So this gives birth to entrepreneurship. And I've spoken enough on universities, but then I know the fact that, at certain point of time, I was a little bit harsh, but let me tell you that there is a need now where all of us have to come together and understand that how best we can be and be up to the mark, and to the current scenario, we have to actually wake up. Coming back to entrepreneurship, the first thing what I feel here is that you should have a greatest attitude. I'll give you a very nice example and a nice story. There's a family of mosquito. The mother and the father told the child that this is your first takeoff, and you can take a round and come. So at that point of time, the kid mosquito said, I'm getting scared because this is my first takeoff. The mother said, it's fine, you can. And then the child took the takeoff and went over, took a round and came back. After coming back, the mother and father appreciated the kid and said that it was amazing. That was your first takeoff. You did a wonderful job. You know what the kid said? Dad, you know what happened when I was going around? There were a lot of people who were clapping. Now, those who understood, I don't know how many of you got it, but actually they were trying to kill the mosquito. Look at the attitude. And this is what is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not going to be easy for you. So you take off and you'll find that you'll start with problems. That is the greatest attitude you should have. You know that you have started a journey which is not going to be easy. And if somebody is going to tell you that, no, it's very easy and you're going to make a lot of money and then, your idea is great, you are the next Bill Gates and all that. So that's all crap. Okay. It's very important for you to understand that if your idea is great, then in that case, you have to really, really work hard on this, because only having an idea will not work. Execution of the idea is a different story all put together. There are a lot of people, after finishing your entrepreneurship summit, while going home also, you will get 10 ideas, but how to execute it, how to implement it is the big question. So employment is a treadmill and entrepreneurship is trekking. Are you getting what I'm saying? And journey of entrepreneurship is a long one with uneven twists, turns, and uncertainties. It reminds me of what do you call in Chinese a crisis? Okay, in Chinese, crisis means opportunity and danger. Now, am I scaring you on entrepreneurship? I'm not scaring you. I'm telling you the fact. Let me give you an example of story of MDH. I don't know how many of you know Mahashay Dharampal Gulati. He passed away. Okay. And do you know one more thing, that initially he was from Pakistan. And at that time, when the partition happened, they came to India. Okay. And when they came to India, when they were in Pakistan, they had a spice shop, which the father was having. And when they came to India, Mahashay Dharampal Gulati was a Tonga driver. Okay, Tonga is nothing but your horse cart driver. Okay, and he was getting this. He was into this, and he found that it is not working for him. So what he did was that he started again a spice shop, and in the name of Mahishasan D Hatti, and that is how it is called as MDH. It's a very famous shop in Delhi, a small shop where spices are being sold. And the people used to stand in queue to take his spices. He used to always charge a little bit higher, but people didn't mind that. People said that it is very nice that we want from MDH itself. And MDH really made a very big name. And today, you know that MDH is a 2,000 crore empire. At that, why I'm telling you this is, he didn't give up. When he had a small shop, if you would have seen that small shop where he used to sell spices, trust me, you would have never thought that this particular shop is going to become a 2,000 crore empire. And today, you know, MDH is a household name and has made a very big mark for itself, only for one reason. He worked on quality and he didn't give up. The attitude of gratitude was there, and the attitude is that I'm not going to give up because I know my product is good. If you are confident about your quality, if you know that you are doing justice to what you are doing, if you say that I'm going to do my best, let money come later, trust me, then business starts. If at all you are starting a business on the entrepreneurship line saying that कि मैंने business खोला और कल से लोग आने वाले हैं, तो ये सब होता नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं होता. And if at all you say it is my dad's business and I have to take it forward, then you have to take it to another level. That's a different story all put together. That's managing an existing business. So don't give the credit to yourself. It's the credit goes to your dad. It doesn't go to you. So if you want to create something from a scratch, it's like you have to right from day one understand that I have to give my best shot and I have to give my best quality. I have to give my best efforts. I have to go and slog. I have to learn this particular trade from wherever I can learn. It's not about just by looking into, today I see a jewelry shop which is in front of my shop and it is doing very well, so I'm going to start a jewelry shop. It doesn't work like this. Just because your college is doing very well doesn't mean that I will start a college. It doesn't work like that. You have to put in a lot of efforts. We have to put at least 15 to 20 years into that particular business, and then you'll find that you create a database for yourself, and that is how business happens. So now you'll ask me, sir, I have to wait for 15 years. No, you don't have to wait for 15 years. 15 years to make a brand. But initially, 1,000 days, you have to wait for the first customer to actually give you a big order. So you have to create that for yourself. The mindset of an entrepreneur, those who are only interested in the consequence and not the process, will only dream about it. They will not do it. only dreaming. By dreaming, you are not going to get any funding. By dreaming, you are not going to get any business. By dreaming, you'll say that I'll become big, doesn't work. Okay, you have to really put your efforts. So thorough homework on the idea, whether the idea is identifying the gap. Whenever you come out with something, first ask that self that whether that gap is being looked into, whether you are solving something. Does it have a business potential? Does it solve the problem? And is it giving an effective solution? If you are getting an answer yes for this, then in that case, I suggest that yes, you are on the right path. Look at what you want to create. And if you want to create is truly worthwhile, money will happen. Okay. If you follow your passion without asking what I will get from it, you will succeed. Otherwise, you will not. What skills I should have to build that idea? Networking. Yes, you have to have a good networking. You should also depend, it also depends on who are the people you move with. Okay. To check whether your ideas are brilliant or not, understand the potential of the idea. Having an idea is not important. Execution of the idea is important. That is what even the experts have told you. You have to evaluate your idea. Is there a customer desirability in your idea? When you come out with something, is there a customer desirability? What do you mean by customer desirability? Example I'll give you. You were standing in lines for a Salman Khan movie and Shah Rukh Khan movie, and at that point of time, somebody thought that book my show. The customer desirability. Book my show aa gaya, and then you find that all that nonsense was stopped. When you go to holiday destinations, you find that there were a lot of hotel bookings, and then people were not getting hotel. Then Oyo came in, and you'll find that the problem was solved. So what happened? This is customer desirability. Is that gap is helping the customer desirability is very, very important. So you have to evaluate your idea. So having said that, the most important thing is coming with innovation. So what is innovation now? Something which is mandatory. I want to watch a movie. Correct. It's mandatory. But an undesirable experience, I don't want to go and stand in that queue. So that can lead to innovation. So there you find a gap, and for that gap, you came out with Book My Show. You came out with Oyo. You came out with Ola. You came out with 101 things. So this is how you'll find that you will create an innovation. Let us take example of Tesla. He came out with a concept saying that he's coming out with a car with no petrol, no diesel. And then what he did, he said, okay, you can book the car in $1,000. And what was the booking? The booking was more than 350,000 cars. Look at the amount of money which was collected by Elon Musk. Okay, which was otherwise a battery company thought that I should come out with a concept of an electric car and came out with that funding. And then tomorrow, after the funding came in, theek hai, car banate hain. This is the concept. So see, look at the way people are looking at. So when my concept is that if ideas are great, money will definitely flow. Somehow or the other, it will come in. You'll have banks, you'll have your friends, you'll have, but then I always tell you that 10% of your preparation is a must. You can't have 100% dependency. It doesn't work that. So 10% kahan se lana, sir? Lana hai. 10% you have to create yourself. Then, sir, I don't have money. Go and talk to people. And that is where you will start learning what entrepreneurship. And that is why they say entrepreneurship is not easy. You have to struggle to really become an entrepreneur. And money flows in. Never a good idea has been stopped. It will definitely work. With this, we have come out in Jain University because we are an entrepreneurial thinking university. Now, if you ask me a question that you said about university education and entrepreneurship, how Jain University is equipped, we are trying our level best. So in Jain University, we are an entrepreneurial thinking university. We eat, sleep, drink entrepreneurship. We have more than 50 businesses incubated, and therefore we have come out with the 21 steps of entrepreneurship. Now, these 21 steps of entrepreneurship, I'll request Shifa if you can put in. Can you do that, Shifa?
Yes, sir. We're doing
Yeah,
it.
please.
So just give us 1 second. Is it coming?
Yes, ma'am, it's coming. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to read all this because that will be a huge process. So what we have done is, I'll just read out those 21 pointers so that it will be easy for us. The registration happens, then the entrepreneurship counseling happens, then the business venture ideation happens, then the information learning happens, then the guidance, mentoring, and training happens. Then there is something called must read, which you have to go to the library and you have to read some books, which we will tell you. Then the research and survey happens. Then the IT and strategy that happens, that what softwares which will be used there. Then you have the requirements of the businesses. Then you have the evaluation. Then the project formulation. Then you have the internship, where you have to really go and work, the business realities and networking, which you have to do. And then you have the entrepreneurial plan, that is the business model which you are going to come in. Then after that, you have the expert scan, the investor's pitch, then the approval section comes in, then the incubation happens, then the legal and documentation happens, launch happens, the shared services are being given, and then the secretarial assistance has been given. So this is how you find that if your idea is worth, it goes with all these processes. And trust me that when you go through these steps, at a point of time, when you reach the 5th and the 6th, at that point of time only, you will realize that it is not easy to reach the last step. You will reach the last step only when you are confident that your idea is going to work, and then you are going to put efforts, because right from internship till funding, everything is being taken care of. If this is being taught as a syllabus to the students of entrepreneurship, I'm very sure that they will learn entrepreneurship in a better way. So this was what I had to say on entrepreneurship. So I thank you for your precious time, and it has been an honor to be with all of you. And thank you, and thanks for making me a part of AVLOKAN. So if there are any questions, I will take the questions.
Sure, sir. We have a few questions for you, sir, from our participants. So first question comes from Dr. Megha Soni. She tells that, can you please suggest some of the ideas about green entrepreneurship?
Is that over? Question is over?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Meghna, see, now the thing is, when we talk about green entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, there is a lot of information on Google. So there is no need that I have to give you something. But let me tell you that we are talking about sustainability. We are talking about that how we can save the planet. So when you take initiatives which can save the planet, which can actually help the society beyond profits, you are talking about something on green entrepreneurship. But let me tell you, if you're really looking into something like this, you can also look into that how you can save trees, and you can find alternatives for paper. I think a lot of things have come now into the market where you have alternatives. There's no need that you have to cut trees for this. So that is where you find that these green entrepreneurship initiatives have been taken. But then my suggestion to you is, it will be nice if you can Google, you will get a lot of info.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your input, sir. The next question comes from Mr. Yogesh J. He says, sir, you have touched upon so many practical aspects. What mentors will do when your students are not ready to learn skills and all whatever we are discussing? Most of them think that automatically great things will come to them. And moreover, when 90% of them didn't want to be or don't want to be entrepreneurs.
Sir, you have questioned me and you have answered also. Now, what do you expect me to answer? Because the thing is that, see, let me tell you, my dear friend, that learning is something where you should have that urge. And with that, you are going to bring a revolution. Okay, now that is, like, for example, if you're talking about Bill Gates, and when we talk about computers, he was not well versed with computers. I don't know how many of you know this, but he was not well versed with computers. But then he had that thought. You talk about Bezos, his so many ventures have gone for a toss, and it was only Amazon which clicked. You're getting what I'm saying? But that urge that I have to do, I have to learn, they're not giving it up. So that urge should not be given. Now, what mentors will do and what, if that is the attitude, then what will happen is that you will come to that 9 to 5 culture. Employment is treadmill and entrepreneurship is trekking. What you want to do, you do. Returns come that way only. At a point of time when my friend is going to go on a walk, at that point of time, you will be working for some organization, and that organization will be a friend's organization who is an entrepreneur. This is the answer. So it all depends on you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inputs on this. The next question comes from Dr. Pradeep Desai. He says, Dr. Neelkant, no matter how technologies bring innovative models in country like India, but all outdated transportation survives like horse cart, but airlines lose money. Why this happens?
All these companies today, take Ola, take Indigo. My dear friend, all are in losses. All are in losses. Okay. Amazon is in a loss. Now what happens is, how is that they're still working? You know what they look into? They look into the scale. The scaling is important. What did he say? Jairao is talking about startup and scale up. What is he talking about? It's not about a startup, it's about a scale up. When you have only a startup, you will be there only. But when it's to scale up, you'll find that your business will grow. And on the basis of that scale up, you'll find that hoping to that it will work. And that is how these businesses are running. So airline industry, take any airline industry of this world, they are in losses. But still you'll find the airline industry is moving because they work on rotation. So this is how the concept is. Never you will find that. And one more thing, very good question, that whenever you do business and at a certain point of time, you find that you are not making that much amount of profits. But to your surprise that you are making that much amount of money where you can sustain and you can push the business. You are on the track. So keep on pushing. A time will come where you will really find that, you know, you will get into the surplus mode. Don't give up there, because at that point of time when you give up, then you will start losses creeping in. Business karte raho, hote jayega. But don't give up in between.
Thank you so much, sir. With your permission, can I take 2 more questions?
Le lo.
The question comes from Dr. Arshad Nabivani. He says, my question is regarding pedagogy of entrepreneurship. Do you really think that practicing entrepreneurship or businessmen should teach business at universities, or as a teachers, only teachers should continue with doing that, and entrepreneurs should act as mentors? Can they adopt hybrid structure?
Yeah, this gentleman has actually asked a question which is nothing but a takeaway of the entire topic.
Yes.
First thing is that I have nothing against teachers, first of all. I have told that the teachers have to be equipped, number 1. Number 2, business people should come to business school and share their experiences. So they can come in the form of practitioners. Okay. And third thing is that with that only you will find that you will learn. So it's a learning process, and a faculty corporate meet is a must in every business school, which will really make a difference. If at all we are just going to read books and tell the student that this is what is happening in the industry, it will not work, because the industries are going at a very faster pace. And if that has to be taught to the students, practitioners are a must. And from the practitioners, nothing wrong in learning. And once you learn, after that, delivering it to the students, a teacher can do a better job. That much I can tell you in writing. A teacher, once gets the knowledge, can deliver better than the practitioner.
One of the students asked this question, sir, Stuti Chaudhary. She says, sir, I am a forestry student and thinking of starting up my own venture by including wood products authentically. Could you give some of your views about this?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
She asked that she wants to start her own venture by including wooden products authentically.
Okay.
So how she can go about it?
No, the thing is, see, first of all, is there a need? whichever place she is coming in, first we have to understand, is there a need for it? And if there is a need, then in that case, there's an investment for the industry, because when you talk about wooden products to be tuned or to be turned in, there's a big investment. And is there a need actually? So let her do her homework properly and then decide whether she should enter into this business or not. So I think she should talk to some seniors who will definitely, some teachers or some practitioners, they will definitely help.
Sure, sir. This is this is not actually a question. I'm getting some of the very good comments. So if you permit, I would like to read them for participants.
No, the only questions are enough.
Okay, fine, sir. Okay, no problem, sir. So this is the last question we'll take from Mr. Navneet Kumar. University education is preceded by senior secondary education. Then how we can change the mindset of a student who's not having such temperament of learning?
See, it's like this. I feel that nobody can force you to do something. So when you say that you want to get into a particular type of, maybe you want to become an engineer, or you want to become a doctor, or you want to, there is nothing called in India where I want to become an entrepreneur. Aisa kuch nahi hai. So the funda here is that you decide, and then later on when you look into it, and when what is your area of interest, that will decide what you are supposed to do. Now that is where profiling is required, the psychometric analysis is required, and all this is now becoming mandatory. Earlier तो हमको बोला गया था कि भाई तुमको बीकॉम में एडमिशन दे दिया है बस. So there was no questions asked. So it's like, तू कल से कॉलेज जाएगा, बस ये था. फिर तू क्या करेगा उसका हमको कोई किसी ने पूछा नहीं. But it was good actually. That is why maybe we did little bit whatever we can.
So with this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, sir. It's been indeed a pleasure.
One more thing I want to thank. I can see Amritlal Bharadwaj sir and Neelam ma'am. Thank you very much for the patient listening. And you have to excuse me for my crap. Okay. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, sir. It's been indeed a pleasure to listen to your significant ideas, adding a lot to our intellect on the role of university education on entrepreneurship. Under your guidance, we have already witnessed it and could impart our students with real-life experiential learning. The educational framework we have at CMS truly reflects your visionary ideas. And I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for encouraging us in all our endeavors and inspiring us to come up with out-of-box ideas. Thank you so much, sir, for being our source of inspiration and motivation at all times. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for patient listening. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Shiva,
Can I
you
just
can
say
take it over
something?
now. Yes, sir.
May
Sure,
I?
sir.
Dinesh, thank you for all that. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I really would like to paraphrase the example you gave about the swimming lesson. You can't read it out of a book. And I just wanted to share something personal. I took an interest in sailing. So I went to night school, and then I was taught, here is the textbook. The wind always comes from the top of the textbook, and these are your directions. This is your compass. But then at the beginning of another book, it said, written by some rear admiral, who said, there is no substitute for sea experience. And so when I started doing my sailing exams out on the open ocean, in the dark, in a stormy night, my God, that's what a practitioner is, as opposed to an academic. And at Cardiff, I can tell you, I have come across very elderly professors who've said to me, I don't know how the real world works. All I've done is read books and write papers and research papers. You've come in from the real world. And this is the first thing I tell my students. I'm not an academic. I haven't written any books. I haven't done any research, but I know how the real world works, and I'm going to kick ass.
Hi, Neelam ji, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. And it's been real pleasure. And even though this is not my direct field, but as usual, I take a great deal of interest in your conferences. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Namaskar.
Dr. Shiva, you can take it over now.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So as we have come to the end of today's sessions, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers, Dr. Mono John, Dr. J. Rao, Dr. Ellen R. Cohen, and Dr. Dinesh Nilkant for giving us enriching insights about varied factors of the concept entrepreneurship in current day business world with trending techniques and practices to be adopted at various steps. I'm extremely thankful to our wonderful participants whose engagement and active participation fulfilled the purpose of today's sessions. I would also like to convey special thanks to our summit advisors, Dr. Rogers M. Smith, Christopher H. Brown, Distinguished Professor at University of Pennsylvania, USA, Dr. John Lipinski, Professor and Co-Director of the Excel Center for Entrepreneurial Excellence, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, USA, and Mr. Manoranjan Sharma, Chief Economist, Infomerics Ratings, India, who have been instrumental in making this summit meaningful. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. I request all of you to stay with us for all upcoming 3 days for lots more to explore and learn from our eminent speakers. For tomorrow, we have with us the legendary speakers, 3 intellectuals, Darshan Doshi, Advisory Board Member, Babson Collaborative, Director, Adaption and Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Flame University, speaking on the topic, how to pitch up your startups to investors from 6 to 7 p.m., followed by Mr. Gustavo Rojas Salaya, General Director, Mexicanos Primerero, Mexico, delivering his talk on the topic, the innovation opportunities that COVID-19 brought to education systems from 7 to 8 p.m., followed by the last session of the day by Dr. Bruce Kingma, Professor of Entrepreneurship at Syracuse University, USA, apprising us with his views on the topic, experiential entrepreneurship education from 8 to 9 p.m. Requesting all participants to stay tuned throughout as it's mandatory to fill feedback form for all sessions to receive certificate. Tomorrow, we are going to begin with the session at 6 p.m. sharp with the first speaker. I request you all to log in 15 minutes prior to the session. Hope to see you all tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. IST. Have a great time. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you.